the entire purpose of affirmative action, set-asides, civil rights laws, laws that limit constitutional rights to freedom of contract, freedom of association, all of that was to make up for the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow. So unless these benefits are going to, roughly defined, foundational Black Americans, the descendants of American slaves, you've taken away the whole purpose of this. So to make the point that Kamala isn't a foundational Black American, I'm always pointing to, unless these benefits are going to, roughly defined, foundational Black Americans, the descendants of American slaves.
African Americans built this nation. You built this nation. You're just starting to get real credit for that. Okay, I don't know if you know that. You're just starting to you built the nation. We all built it, but you were such a massive part of it. Bigger than you were given credit for. Does that make sense?
Said that you resent the idea of being called an African American, that
yes.
You are a Black American.
Yes.
Explain.
I think that when they call Black people who were born and raised for generations in this country, if you accept the handle of African American, that says that you don't accept being an American American. You don't accept being born in Chicago or New York or Detroit or wherever you were born. For generations your family's been here, built this country too. Sweat and tears and all that, fought in every war, okay? So this is my country here. So I don't want to be called African American. I'm an American American. My people have died and done everything for this country.
I'm always going to be known as a Black American. I can't call myself an African American, because when they want to separate us, then they say we are African American. But remember this: when I'm competing in the Olympics, I didn't compete on the African American Olympic team. I competed on the American Olympic team. So don't separate me when you want to separate me.
I am not an African American. I'm an American. I am a Black American. I am definitely Black. And yes, my ancestors come from Africa. How long does a bloodline have to live in one land before they are considered a pure species of that land? Meaning, how long did my people have to be in America to say, hey, no, we're American, compared to some people who are English American, who are Irish American, who are German American from their ancestors, but they get to call themselves American. There's nothing wrong with being African American, but a true African American is someone that is from Africa and moved here, either first generation or second generation, and has a tie to that country that I do not have. One of the first census in Virginia that allowed for Black people to have a name was somebody from my family. So
Africans don't even fuck with us.
Wow.
Because they don't. We're not from the motherland. We're from America. So I'd rather say I'm a Black American. So I consider myself a Black American. I don't consider myself African American and shout that. Because Africans don't even fuck with us.
Wow.
Because they don't.
I don't mind the term African American. I don't want to be called African American.
Why is that?
I'm not African.
Very strong.
As I was going back to see, he pointed out for me that I could go back when I want to. Go back to where? Huh? Go anywhere.
Sir, could you stand up? We can't hear you. Could you stand up over there by the microphone?
You mean to Africa? Do you mean to Africa? Do you mean to Africa? We are not Africans no more. You have raped our great-grandmothers and stuff and changed us. Finish. Let me finish. I just want to tell you that. And don't say nothing else to me.
How Afro get in front of my motherfucking race. I ain't never been to Afro-Color. I never been to Africa. Afro or Africa. Never been there. I'm not from Africa. I'm born and raised in Goose, Florida. I'm born in Goose, raised in Liberty City, in the Poker Bean Project. Ain't never went to Africa. Ain't thinking about going there.
And I heard it's a beautiful place. Yeah. And I know it's the motherland, yes. But not my mother, not her mother, and not her mother's mother. That ain't their land. America real true land is right here in the U.S. soil. My mama can't tell me not one story about Africa. I don't know nothing about Africa. All I know is all the African people I know and run into, they think they better than us over here.
There you go. Like the family. I said like the family. Like the like the video family. Like the video. Yeah. So when I watch all these videos of like foreign tethers, well, foreign tethers. Tethers are foreign. Foreigners, immigrants. Man, I'm noticing a lot of them are swinging towards Africans and even the Caribbean. I'm noticing a lot of them are abandoning the Pan-Africanist train. It seems like they know it's a nothing burger and they're abandoning it and running towards the conservative side, where it's more protection. They see it's a little more power behind it. You dig? They see it's more of a force over there. And I'm seeing that often. And I remember looking at this African channel, like some young African woman, and like I seen a couple of videos like months ago, like really months, 4 or 5, 6 months ago, and I really ain't never check out the channel, just checked out videos. I'm like, she seemed cool, seemed logical. She had like almost 3 million subscribers. That's another thing. We support everybody. I'm speaking to FBA. We support everybody but ourselves. We don't want no FBA podcaster to be in 1 million views. We don't have any. You would think Tariq should be there, but we will make DJ Vlad, DJ Academics, Math Hop. We will make Kai Sinat. We'll make everybody successful and a millionaire except for ourselves. And we are the real news station. Like we are the ones that bring the contrarian news. You feel me? The other side, the alternative viewpoint. But without the power, without the numbers, what we say goes nowhere. And what we got to say is very powerful. A lot of innovative, creative talking points and rebuttals, debunks, and they don't hit. They don't go nowhere. See, African chick got about damn near 3 million subscribers. So when I first seen it, I said, all right, young chick, she look like she's down. You dig? Man, I happened to come across her channel again, and I'm gonna play it. Man, she went straight to the right side. But I wasn't surprised. I'm like, oh, African conservative. You feel me? Oh, hold on, let me answer that phone. Let me call him back. Yeah, so I wasn't really surprised. You feel me? Because now I have a new way of, I got I'm aware of the whole tether thing. You feel me? So I'm not really surprised right now. Like, oh, okay, it makes sense. They're running to conservatism. There's more power. There's a bigger machine. Shit, that's white racism. That's white supremacy. You feel me? Like they're like, hey, let's go over here where we're funded, we're pushed, all this good stuff. All these, perks come with white supremacy. And I'm seeing a lot of tethers like go over there. Hold on a second. I'm trying to take this Bluetooth off my phone. Okay, good. I did it. So on the screen, you see, I have a slogan. I say they love to talk about us, but they hate to talk to us. So I'm showing you case in point. I showed one yesterday. This woman had a video, African Diaspora, whatever. You see me. Hey, would you mind? This is 11 minutes after skimming through her little bullshit podcast. I'm like, hey, would you mind joining me on my podcast and break down Diaspora Wars? You see? No, thank you, but no thank you. They all turn it down, but they got gazillion videos on Diaspora Wars, who's causing it, trying to explain what FBA is, messing it up, can't define tether correctly. So I'm like, why do y'all want to talk to an FBA? Like y'all talk about us, but don't never want to engage with us. Which furthers the point that these folks talk all this diaspora love and we need to be one, but they'll do that on camera. They don't want to talk to any of us. And as I said before, they strategically avoid us. And the same cities that we're living with them, you never really run into Africans as far as where y'all are chilling, eating the same places, at the same bar, at the same sporting event, gaming event. Good job. You really never really interact with them. You're not at their cookouts or their events. They're not at yours. They don't want to be. And I'm like, wow, I never even noticed that. But point is, they'll talk about us, but they'll never talk to us. That's why I made that the thumbnail. I'm like, yeah, this keep happening. I keep inviting them. About 100 people, and keep in mind they all got Diaspora War videos. So it ain't like I'm coming out the blue, like, hey, you want to join? I'm like, yo, let's talk about what you already talking about. Like your whole podcast is about FBA. So hey, would you like to finally talk to one? Oh, thank you, but no, thank you. So of course I cussed her out without cussing her out. All right, so let me bring you to a video. Peace to Tashi D, number one, Switchblade, Claude Zindan, Richard Flott, Fresh Always, Marvin Rowell, RA, Chicago, FBA, Iconic. We got Black Feather Archery. Who else in the building? Life. We got Life in the building. We got, I seen somebody else. Oh, Mahal Ya Naturals. Yeah, we here. They're afraid to be exposed for their true intentions. Right. Because they know we're going to question, like, hey, what about this? Well, why you guys do this? And why your parents teach you to hate us? And they really don't want to be asked those questions. Like I said, with the support got to be consistent. Like I'm talking about everybody's channel that's FBA, that's out here, defending and representing. Okay. So I want to bring you guys to Umar real fast. And this is not to pick on him. This just to this is education purposes. Because he say a lot of things that sounds like it's true or sounds like it may be true. So let's look at it.
Oh yes, brothers and sisters. For my parents, a lot of your children are on online schooling. A lot of your children are on online schooling. And what I want to say to all my parents who have children on online schooling, please don't let them get evaluated for special education. I was on the phone conducting a psychoeducational consultation with a parent today. They want them to give consent for their child to be evaluated for special education. Under no circumstances should you consent to a special ed eval for a child who's being taught on a computer. Why does Dr. Umar disagree with having children evaluated for special education who are receiving remote instruction? The reason I disagree with children being evaluated who are at home receiving...
So family, I'm only playing Dr. Umar this morning, this grand rising, because he's talking about ADHD, and we really don't look into that because it's not something like, you know what I mean? So, if something keep being repeated over and over, it can almost come off as it's true. Shoot, I didn't mean to do that. I hate when I press that. What is that thing anyway? My God, why is that even there? This right here. What is this? What is that?
Remote instruction through Zoom or Google Classroom is because it's hard enough for a lot of our...
And by the way, there are, hey, come on, okay, go. Family, this is a dangerous thing that he's doing. Some kids do have a chemical imbalance. They need medication. Some adults need it. And for somebody to come behind and say, hey, no, ain't examining nobody, and just saying, no, just do this, do that. Yeah, that's not the case. That's not the case, man. I was in Dunkin' Donuts yesterday, early live, sipping coffee, and some dude went in there, nuts like a mug, man. Swinging in the air, talking to himself. According to Umar, he's okay. He just need a daddy at his house. Like, come on. Like, some people are just dealing with chemical imbalances. They got real mental issues, and they gotta take their medicine. Like, that's serious. Like, these folks are not taking their medicine, so they're self-medicating. Alcoholism, drug abuse, Xannies. This just irresponsible.
Or unmotivated children to pay attention in the regular classroom. It's hard enough for a lot of our unmotivated children to pay attention in the regular classroom. And so now you take them out the classroom.
Oh yeah. Salita Marie, yeah, you could definitely use my content. No issues at all.
Now they're home on a laptop. If the child could barely pay attention in the class, you can best believe that their attention span is going to suffer even more at home with all those distractions. People walking around, cell phones, noise, refrigerators opening and closing, people eating, multiple conversations. If the child couldn't pay attention in the classroom, what makes you think it's going to get better at home? It's only
yeah, I'm not really for the home stuff either, unless you're at the computer with your child, like or in the vicinity. You gotta be, because I just left us. I was visiting somebody, stopped by somebody's house, and their kid was being homeschooled, and they playing around. They're not serious. They're fooling around. If you're not there, right there with them, yeah, it's not. I wouldn't do it. Like, I had turned down chess students online because I'm like, nah. So I had raised the age because it's too easy for them to get distracted. He's right about that. Yeah, you got to really be with your child while they're online. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend with him. I'm with that because I've seen it for myself. So I'm with them on that one. If they can't survive in the classroom, online by themselves, like, they're done.
Only going to get worse at home. And now America's public and charter schools are trying to exploit your ignorance. This is why you need to read Black Parent Advocate. This is why you need to be in Fort Lauderdale, Florida next Thursday, December 10th, to get you a copy of Black Parent Advocate. This is why you need to be in Charlotte, North Carolina, the Thursday after that, Thursday, December the 17th, okay, at Chef Cuzzo's Cuisine in Charlotte, North Carolina. We will have our book release at Cuzzo's Cuisine in Charlotte, North Carolina, Thursday, December the 17th, 2 to 8. And we will be in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, in Lauderhill at the Studio 510, Thursday, December 10th, from 2 to 8 p.m. Both days. Come through. No tickets are necessary. You buy your book if you want to buy a book when you...
I'm only playing this because I want him to say something that I'm going to fast forward it, right? So let him say it, then I'm going to speak on it, we'll fast forward.
Get there on site. You buy a book if you want to buy a book when you get there on site. But this is why every Black parent needs to read Black Parent Advocate, The Art of War for Dealing with America's Public and Charter Schools. What the schools are doing right now, they're about to get millions of dollars in free money from Black parents who don't know the law, the process, the procedure, the protocol, or the culture.
Okay, so that part, he's misleading you, because we said they were about to get millions. Yes, they are going to get millions, but it's not to pocket. It's the extra resources to care for the kids who actually have that chemical imbalance. So yes, to teach them, you're going to need extra tools, extra specialized teachers. So family, they misrepresent that $1 million. Yes, if you got specialized kids, you're going to need more money. Like, if they're handicapped, you're going to need ramps. You got to now add ramps. That's going to cost a lot of money. So they'll mention that truth, but they'll spin it like the school is profiting. So, like, that's the thing that we're doing. What is the point of lying to your own people? Now, if you're lying to white folks and tethers, all right, go ahead, bro. That's on you. But you're lying to us. That's why I got to make these reactionary videos. I can't let that happen. what is the gain for you to lie to us and have us all messed up?
Evaluate your son or daughter because they're underachieving, I want you to respond to that letter and say, yes, they're underachieving because it is very difficult for a child to pay attention to a boring teacher from a computer screen. It is very difficult for a child to pay attention to a boring teacher from a computer screen. It is.
All right, so that part, he's right about that, but let me move forward. They could say it. I found where he's going to say that. Here we go.
Y'all don't watch the videos on ADHD. Y'all don't watch the videos on a psychological evaluation. Y'all don't watch the videos on Ain't No Daddy at Home disorder, ADHD. Y'all don't watch.
Okay, that part right there. So he didn't remix ADHD for Ain't No Daddy at Home like he did Papa, Prince of Pan-Africanism. All right, so his assessment on ADHD, as simple as the father's not home, like that is probably more toxic than him allegedly stealing donations to start a school that he's never going to start. You know, because you have so many nuclear families and their kid also is not immune to ADHD and mental illness or chemical imbalances. They are having the same issues. So to just sum it up, oh, just bring the dad home and like, that's crazy. All right, so let me go a little further.
How is special education going to benefit your child if they can't meet with the teacher face to face? Let me ask you one more time. They want you to get your child evaluated for special ed, and then once they get evaluated and classified with a learning disability.
All right, so we're going to read together. Since you want to do a diagnosis on kids, we're going to do a diagnosis on Umar.
To you, you're a coon. You are a coon. Coon is an acronym. Coon is an acronym. Caucasian, the consciousness of your Caucasian oppressor operating within the Negro. The consciousness of the oppressor operating within the Negro. That is what a coon is. C-O-O-N. The consciousness of your Caucasian oppressor operating within the Negro. Nothing's funny about this. We're talking about saving children. That's what wrong.
Right, okay, whatever. All right, so let's get to it. Make some audio. Okay, so Dr. Umar Johnson claims about ADHD. Dr. Umar Johnson, a clinical psychologist and Pan-Africanist, has long asserted that ADHD is a fraudulent diagnosis. He considers ADHD a fabricated label used disproportionately on Black boys to justify school discipline, special education placement, medication with psychotropic drugs. Okay. He blames the family structure. According to Umar, ADHD is not a neurological disorder, but a social and environmental reaction, particularly the result of being raised in a single mother household, a consequence of the absence of a strong male father figure. He suggests that fatherlessness leads to undisciplined, unfocused behavior, which is then labeled ADHD, which is then labeled as ADHD. Okay. He rejects pharmaceutical solutions. He argues medication is a form of chemical control of Black youth, calls ADHD drugs like Ritalin and Adderall legal crack, and academic euthanasia. Okay. So we need, I said, how does he come to these conclusions? So professional background, Umar holds a doctorate because what he was taught, don't say this right here as a conclusion. So it's like, so how did he come to this conclusion? Professional background, Umar's holds a doctorate in clinical psychology and claims extensive experience in evaluating children for special education, Afrocentric framework. This is his background. He interprets mental health through a Pan-African lens, arguing that Western institutions use mental health tools to marginalize Black youth, remove them from mainstream education tracks. Anecdotal, observational. So this is his personal experience, what his eyes can only see, what his brain can only conceive. Much of his critique is based on personal observation, not peer-reviewed clinical trials. So this is who the mothers are going to. This nut that base everything off his personal experience. He don't compare notes with another clinical psychologist. He don't go read journals, nothing. Just what he experienced is good enough. What he experienced and what he's seen, what he concluded is better than 1,000 clinical psychologist diagnoses. He's the Prince of Pan-Africanists. He's the most requested Black scholar ever. So I say, look, so I said, give us a comparison of him with other ADHD skeptics. I didn't even want to compare him to other doctors who disagree. So listen, I want you guys to see for yourself that he is the worst of the worst. So you got other white skeptics that's kind of like crazy, but he's worse than them. He's worse than the white worst. So look at the shared belief among skeptics of ADHD medication. You got Dr. Thomas Saz, the myth of mental illness. Okay, his main belief, mental illness is often a social construct. His alignment with Umar, he agrees that ADHD is socially invented. Dr. Peter Bregan, ADHD meds are overprescribed and dangerous, shares criticism of medical as meds as harmful. So socially invented, meds harmful. Dr. Fred Bogman, ADHD has no biological marker. It is not a real disease. Umar echoes this almost verbatim. So you got, some of the guys that claim to be Papa, they be learning from other people and just take the credit for themselves. Almost verbatim, he quotes this guy. I'm gonna look this guy up. Robert Whitaker, Anatomy of an Epidemic. Long-term outcomes of ADHD drugs are worse than helpful. Supports Umar anti-medication science. So a lot of this are meds, right? Anti-psychiatry movement. Psychiatry is a form of social control, not healing. Umar often uses this language. Okay. So now, where do Umar go astray from those quacks? So I want you guys to see it for yourself. Where did he go astray from those quacks? Amongst those quacks, Umar got unique claims and controversy. So he's going to outdo them. He's going to say something. He's going to conclude something. He's going to give a diagnosis that they don't even do. His claim, ADHD is directly caused by single Black mothers, rarely shared by other ADHD critics, oversimplifies complex sociological and neurological factors. This Black mother single home causes ADHD. Even the critics, even the other quack critics don't share that. Like he's almost by himself with this conclusion. Schools are targeting Black boys for financial incentives tied on ADHD. Some agree in part, e.g. Whitaker. No solid proof schools are paid to pay for every ADHD child. So just making shit up. Okay. ADHD meds are a government conspiracy to feminize. I didn't even know that. He said the medication is used. Hold on. I'm about to die. He said ADHD meds are a government conspiracy to feminize, control Black boys. So you gotta say this right here. This word right here. If you want to scare the Black community, you gotta use that as your diagnosis. Oh yeah, drinking moonshine is gonna feminize you. You gotta do this to scare us. This is mostly unique to Umar. So he's the most requested this, most requested that. Well, guess what? You're the only clinical school psychologist to say this right here. That the drugs are designed to feminize Black boys. Now, of course, he has no research, no studies. Umar, how did you come to this conclusion, my boy? You're the only one on planet Earth that conclude that. Okay, go back over there. Unsubstantiated by data. So he has nothing to suggest this right here. ADHD is part of a school to what? ADHD is a part of a school to prison pipeline conspiracy supported by some criminal justice researchers, not usually linked solely to ADHD by mainstream experts. Okay. So let's get into it. Now we're gonna do science first. So now I did the quacks, right? And how they align with Umar. I did the quacks, I did his own kind. So now we're gonna go to mainstream real doctors, real scientists. Is ADHD real? Yes. Neurodevelopmental disorder, DSM-5. Umar Johnson says no. Social construct tied to behavior. What's the causes of ADHD? Genetic, neurobiological, and environmental. Black fatherlessness, school environment. Oh my God. So now scientists offer medication as some type of remedy. It's effective for symptom management in most cases. So the medication is used to address the symptoms. And that's not used to cure ADHD, family. Keep that in mind. The medication is used to resolve some of the symptoms because a lot of ADHD, you're hyper. You can't sit down. You may be aggressive, maybe a fighter, maybe. So this is used to handle that, calm your ass down. Umar says the medication is harmful, unnecessary, and oppressive. Disparities, underdiagnosis in Black communities is concerned. So scientists are saying that the experts are saying ADHD is underdiagnosed in Black communities. Umar is saying it's overdiagnosed of Black boys and it is the concern. So we got an issue here. So I mean, we could resolve this. Just ask parents, hey, parents know their kids, and so the scientists, the experts say they're undiagnosed. Umar says they're over. So critics of Umar say over simplistic logic, he used a single variable, fatherlessness, to explain a multifactorial issue. Lack of peer-reviewed data. Umar rarely cites control studies, relies on anecdotes and conspiracy framing, pathologizing, okay, pathologizing single Black mothers. He blames a vulnerable group instead of addressing systemic factors, e.g., poverty, school funding, implicit bias. You want to try to get some bullshit off? Say they are the reason. Like I said, the feminizing word, say feminizing, say Black Wall Street, say there's certain things that we just fall for every time. Say Black Wall Street, say we're gonna build an airport. It's the Black woman's fault. Feminizing Black boys. Just say certain things, and we need to pull our dollars and we could buy back the city. Certain things we just fall for like zombies. Okay, and blaming single Black mom is like one of the best things you can do if you want to galvanize a bunch of crazy people. Just blame single Black mothers for the reason why something negative is happening. And by doing that, you give systemic racism a pass, poverty, school fund, underfunding, and implicit bias. Okay. So let's go to final thoughts. Final thoughts are Dr. Umar Johnson is not alone in being skeptical of ADHD as a medical disorder, but he is distinct in racializing the narrative. I'm saying, oh, that's all you gotta do. Oh, they're coming after Black people. Framing it as a tool to control Black masculinity and erase traditional Black family roles. All right, so I just want to go there before we go further. I want you to see how experts look at him and how his work, his diagnosis aligns with experts. All right, so now let's get to the okay. Let's get to her first. So I want you to see the name of the video. Now this is the African woman. This is her right here. 2.46 million, and we're watching it. Like if it just seemed like, you know what? Let me change my name into like an African name. I'll probably have 2.4 million subscribers. Black, but something with Foundation for Black Americans. We love to support folks with that's not us. 2.46. No, I wasn't joking. 2.46 million views, and half y'all never heard this woman. She get hella FBA support, and look what she's doing with it. She's using your support to demonize you before the public, to desensitize people to your plight, your struggles, the racial obstacles. She's using your audience, your numbers, to bash you and make you a more vulnerable ethnic group, more than we already are in this country. Listen to this.
Let's start with number one, the Tulsa Race Massacre. Now, we hear this phrase, circling around often as an example.
Now, she looked clearly younger than 30. I could almost guarantee you she got a white zaddy. I could almost guarantee. Where's she at? I can almost guarantee she got a white zaddy here somewhere. Look, told you. Look. I said I could almost guarantee she got a white zaddy. Oh no, I said I'm okay. That was my fault. That's my fault. That's a tattoo artist. I know, my fault. I'm reaching. Cause I know he's in here. Now I know she ain't. My fault. That's her tattoo artist. That's another one. My fault. I'm reaching. I ain't gonna lie. I'm reaching. I know he's in here. Cause she's not bad looking, so there's no way she's single. Okay, so where's your zaddy? Really? Why are you hiding him? Don't hide your zaddy. Uh-oh. You know, she got Ben Shapiro in there. I'm telling you, there's something with Africans. They're dropping Pan-Africanism and they're running to conservatism. Really? Like, you got no man? Y'all don't think that's weird? I don't think that's weird for her to not be in any relationship publicly, any public relationship. All right, I'm done looking. I'm sure he's there somewhere, but whatever. All right, so she used your 2.46 million supporters, right? FBA supporter. I know largely we're in there. She used that to interview Larry Elder now look, this video is debunking systemic racism, okay, in America. So this is what these tethers normally do with your support. You see what Matt Hoffa did with your support. He went there and got Fat Joe in there to disrespect us. You see DJ Academics on a regular basis disrespect us. This is what they do. Vlad TV always got to apologize to somebody, FBA. Always. How disrespectful he is. And then Adam 22 just recently tried to downplay a challenge by like some gang members to drop their flags. So, but we're over there supporting Tariq Nasheed and everybody, Afro-Elite, everybody. We should all be up there in the hundreds and thousands. Tariq should be near this woman or more. But somehow 43 million of us, but we cannot find $1 for us. We can't find the like button for us. We can't find the subscription button for us. But for everybody else, we can find that $1, that like button, that subscription button. Okay, anyway, just look what she did with the black support. Look what she did.
Of racism against black people, saying, even when black people try to succeed and create something like...
Oh, wait. As I'm talking, I got a super chat right away. We got Tiger in the building. He said, Brother Ron, the way you highlighted Dr. Umar's deliberate ignoring peer-reviewed materials is concerning and idiosyncrasy of his to and no longer be ignored. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, the dude is on an island. He's out there by himself with his diagnoses. You dig? Just lying. And making up shit. Fatherlessness, blame the black woman, and you want to scare us, just say, oh, the medication's going to turn boys gay. That's all you got to do. Just say it's going to turn us gay, or, you know what I mean? Something like that, and that's it. Nobody's doing it. So let me throw my Cash App in there, if y'all don't mind. That's for people who don't have the ability to super chat, or rather be a quiet donator, right? Donor. Okay. So she's going to debunk racism with this coon, Larry Elder.
Black Wall Street, which it was later termed. It's burned down by white racists and taken from them. What is your response to that?
I'm watching the Super Bowl last year, and there's a Citigroup commercial. There's a black guy. He talks about the Tulsa massacre of 1921. What he didn't tell you, we talk about it in Uncle Tom too, is that Tulsa, that area, was completely rebuilt within a matter of a few years without one dime of government money, and it wasn't called the Black Wall Street until after it was rebuilt. The point is, the idea that after slavery, blacks were going, oh, it's woe is me, we're not making any progress, and when they did, the white man came and put his foot down and stomped everything, is a flat-out lie. As is, it is a lie that racism is in America's DNA, which is what Barack Obama said. It is a lie that you can divide the country between semi-fascists and non-semi-fascists. It is a lie you could divide the country between irredeemable deplorables and those who are not, which is what Hillary said. The Democrat Party does that to divide us because they want black people to be angry. Why? Because if you're angry and you feel these guys over here, Democrats wear the white hat and these SOBs, Republicans wear the black hat, you're going to pull that lever for the Democratic Party. That's why they do it. Even though, I tell you, if Barack Obama were here, he and I would be completing each other's sentences. He knows it's a lie. He knows it's a lie. He's too intelligent not to know it's a lie.
Yeah, watch any old video of him pre his presidential run, and it's just unbelievable what's coming out of his mouth, and you would think, oh, that's a modern day conservative.
He ran against Bobby Rush, who's a former Black Panther for the House of Representatives, because he thought Bobby Rush, like Al Sharpton, was an extremist who was hurting black people. He got his butt kicked. Obama did. It's the only race he lost because the guy characterized him as a carpetbagger who went to Harvard, who taught at University of Chicago, and Obama learned a big lesson there, and it's changed him, I think, forever. So he plays the race card, and more irresponsibly than probably anybody else, because Amala, we expected more out of him. Guy went to Harvard, undergraduate degree at Columbia. His father has a PhD from Harvard, for crying out loud. Mom has a PhD in anthropology. And you're talking about systemic racism? You know damn well it's a lie. And he had all sorts of chances to push the right message. When his friend Skip Gates briefly got arrested, remember the Cambridge police thing, and he had that beer summit? Instead of telling Skip he should have cooperated, he said the Cambridge police acted stupidly. When Trayvon Martin was shot and killed, he said if I had a son, he would look like Trayvon. To this day, I don't even know what that means. He embraced Black Lives Matter. He had Al Sharpton in the White House over 70 times. He talked about Ferguson, even though Ferguson was a complete and total lie. He made things worse. When he entered the White House, in the third week of January 2009.
Before we go too far that way, so Larry Elder, with his African conservative tether, said Tulsa was rebuilt in a few years without government help. It wasn't called Black Wall Street until after it was rebuilt, he says. He says, so the idea that white stomped out black progress is a lie. Okay. So rebuilt is not the same as recovered. All right. So this guy, he's always been a slick talking coon. He talks real fast and he doesn't stop. Right. He's one of those let me finish dudes because he does not want to be challenged. So it was rebuilt. It wasn't recovered. What's the difference? Okay. So Tulsa's Greenwich district was rebuilt, but it was never restored to its full economic strength, Larry. Rebuilding was very slow, it was very difficult, and it received no restitution. You just can't destroy something and then say, no, I got it. Let me build it back up. Now, I destroyed your car and buys around, you couldn't get to work. You're out of 4 months of work, money, 4 months of pay. But don't worry about it. I'm gonna rebuild your car. It's like, yeah, but wait a minute, what about the 4 months of pay, and what about the stress I did? And yeah, all that matters, buddy. Okay, so it was no insurance payouts or no justice. Like, what justice came out of that? They rebuilt it and ignored everything. So black families had to go live in tents for over a year, buddy. Okay, and that's a fact. They had to live in tents. So, oh, look, everybody is back up. What's back up? What about when they looted and stole stuff? Where that stuff at? So it was rebuilt, but it was not recovered. What about violence as state-sanctioned suppression? The massacre involved armed white mobs deputized by the city using aircraft to firebomb the neighborhood. Guess how many people died, Larry? 300 people died, 10,000 displaced, and 1,200 homes destroyed. How'd you rebuild that? How'd you rebuild 300 killed people? White officials later redlined the area. What about that, Larry? How about generational wealth? Generational wealth was never restored. Did you rebuild that? Greenwood descendants still push for reparations. Greenwood descendants still push reparations to this day. You feel me? So I don't know what you rebuilt. Okay, so he's gonna go on about Obama for a little while. Yeah, obsessed with Obama, but he said systemic racism is a lie. Is that it's in America's DNA. Okay, he says the left uses this to manipulate black people emotionally, make us angry. Okay, well, for one, he's going to deny systemic racism. So is she, the young African tether. But let him go. Let him go.
His approval rating was 70%, even though he only got elected with 52%. Why? Because so many people felt, okay, I don't agree with him on a lot of policies, but at least he'll tone down this racial nonsense. And both blacks and whites felt, based on the polls, that things were going to improve regarding race relations. When he left, both blacks and whites thought things had gotten worse.
He seemingly just flipped to support himself, and he didn't care about how it affected Black America. And now we're in
now, all of a sudden, this young tether is a politician. I'm telling you, if we're gonna find out who her husband is, it's gonna be some white guy, guarantee you.
Racially divided country, unlike any other, even though we are all melting pot integrated with each other. And
even though America is the only majority white country that's ever elected a black president and reelected one, he got a higher percentage of the white vote than John Kerry did 4 years earlier. And now Donald Trump is a racist, and he sent a racist dog whistle to white people. What nonsense. In 2008, 2012, Obama carried 700 counties both times. In 2016, 200 of those counties switched over to Donald Trump. So were they racist in 2016, but not racist in 2008, 2012? They got bitten by a racist radioactive spider. And the town that, thank you for laughing at that, and the town of over 100,000 that most voted for Donald Trump was Abilene, Texas. About 85% voted for Donald Trump. Guess which town shortly
Hold on, I don't want to be.
After Donald Trump got elected? It's nonsense, absolute nonsense.
And it's interesting because I saw you break this down in a video. You started talking about, a lot of people ran with the narrative, oh, America doesn't want a black president, they're racist and higher and higher.
Obama's running against Hillary for the numbers. We're more than 22 and more experienced.
So
knock it off.
We're more ageist than we are racist, I guess.
Tell me about it.
Redlining. Black people are more likely to not get financial aid when it comes to loans, mortgages, any sort of finances when compared to their white counterparts.
Well, that's like saying I have a franchise that sells hamburgers, and I'm not going to sell them to black people because they're black. Sure. I'm trying to make money. Banks make money by lending to credit-worthy people. The biggest way to debunk this is something that Barack Obama did when he was a lawyer in private practice. In the mid-'90s, he joined a bunch of other lawyers to file a class action lawsuit against Citigroup. 186, I believe, black people were, in their opinion, denied mortgages because they were black. So went to court, and they filed a class action lawsuit, as I said, against Citigroup. Citigroup said, all right, to hell with it. Here are your mortgages. And then they followed what happened. All but a handful of them lost their houses. Several of them applied for bankruptcy. It turned out the reason that these people weren't getting loans is that they weren't creditworthy. Over probably 100 years, banks have developed a lending criteria. Generally, it was you have to have a consistent working career for 5 years, have a certain amount of savings. And if you don't have that, the likelihood of your not being able to pay the loan goes up. A similar thing to lowering standards to admit people in college and university just because they're black. The more you lower the standards, the greater the chance they're going to drop out because they won't be able to keep up. So it turns out that these people lost mortgages. 2 of them even said this, these plaintiffs. Why should you lend money to people that can't pay it back? Hello? And one of them said there ought to be a law that stops bankers from lending people money that they can't afford. Another way of looking at this, there was a huge housing recession, 2007, 2008.
Wait. Okay.
Obama was president from 2009 till January 2017. Black net worth from 2010 to 2013 fell almost 1/3. There was a recession. White net worth flatline. Why? So many blacks had homes they couldn't afford because of something called the Community Reinvestment Act that was signed by Jimmy Carter, given teeth by Bill Clinton. And if banks did not lend to a more diverse and inclusive group of people, their desire for mergers would be held up. Acquisitions would be held up. You wouldn't be able to put ATMs where you wanted. So banks, through carrot and stick, altered lending criteria. So basically, for a time, if you fogged up a mirror, you could get a house. Many people would have been better off had they rented. And a large number of these were black people. When the recession came, and recessions always come, they lost everything. Everything, including the money that they put into the homes. You're not helping people by giving people money that they can't afford to pay back. You're making them worse. You're making them worse off.
Boom. Debunked. Next one. And last one.
And the reason for
now, and then they wonder, and then African Tethers would say, "Hey, you're so xenophobic. You're so whatever, whatever." Because this is what they do. They come over here. They normally get with a white man, and they become conservative overnight. Candace Owens, and that's why Tariq Nasheed was calling them out back in 2016 when he was pushing global empowerment. And what that meant was black folks across the world, let's get together. Let's fight white supremacy. But he never focused the center on Africa. He just said, black folks, let's come together. He never made Africa the destination point or the thought. So he was never Pan-Africanist, but he did push global empowerment. And but he noticed the bed wenches like her. He noticed that a lot of bed wenches, a lot of Africans, when they go white, they usually go right wing. When they go white, they go right wing.
For higher insurance that you often hear is because of car thefts. You live in an area where there's a lot of car thefts, you're going to have to pay more for your car insurance because the lenders want to be able to make sure that they make a profit.
Yep, and I remember Tom Sowell writing about looking at the data from black-owned banks versus white-owned banks, and he's saying, black people are denied at black-owned banks at a higher rate.
Because they're less well capitalized. They can't afford to take a risk.
Yep.
Hello. Is this thing on?
Hello, people. Knock, knock, knock. Okay. Last one here, Larry. This is an uncommon one that we hear about, but certainly an argument that people on the left make. The schooling system happens to be discriminatory against black people, black girls in particular, which is an unlikely victim here. Apparently, black women are far more likely than their white counterparts to be expelled, suspended, and this then contributes to the, quote, school to prison pipeline that sends black children off to jail.
It's a lie. Eric Holder once gave a speech where he talked about pernicious racism, his term. And one of them was this example that blacks were expelled from school, mostly black boys, at a much higher rate than white boys. I think it was in the mid-'80s. There was a school system in Decatur, Illinois. The school board members were all white. And they...
Wait, before you go too far. So let's address systemic racism. See, like he talks a lot, and at least he gets bullet points, though. He talks a lot, but he gives you bullet points, things to rebut. I like that. Okay, but he says systemic racism is a lie. When they say that, you got to get them to you got to ask them, was it always a lie? Or when did it end? Because you'll find yourself arguing things they don't argue. Because you'll mention the GI Bill in 1944, where over about 1 million black World War II vets were excluded from housing and education benefits due to segregationist implementation. So the GI Bill was for veterans, war veterans, but our FBAs were excluded. Then he'll say, no, that's 1944. No. Of course, there was systemic racism at that time, man. So you say, okay, what about FHA loans from the 1930s to 1960s? Okay, 90% of FHA-backed mortgages went to white applicants due to redlining. 98%. Oh, the 1960s, as Jim Crow, we're trying to get past that with Lyndon Baines Johnson. Okay, what about the war on drugs? That's 70s, 80s, and 90s. Disproportionately targeted FBA communities leading to mass incarceration, even with similar drug usage rates for whites. Okay. Did it get a little quiet? And DNA is a metaphor when we say racism is America's DNA. That's used as a metaphor, Larry. Racism may not be in literal genetics, fool, but it's in the laws, courts, policies, police, schools, and banks. Okay, that's what systemic is. It's in all of the institutions that can dictate your life, like whether like make it difficult to live or easy or fair. Okay, so now he went to the banks. He went to the banks about, hey, you got to have good credit score and why to give loans to people who can't afford it. Okay, so based on that, he said banks don't discriminate. He said Obama's class action suit resulted in foreclosure because those people weren't credit worthy. Right, that's what he said. So redlining maps. 1930s, 1960s were created by the Homeowners Loan Corporation, the HOLC, which I talk about a lot. Okay, it was created by that and banks marking black neighborhoods as high risk regardless of income. So this was before the wealth gap went too crazy lopsided, right? So this was because we're, a matter of fact, when the HOLC came into existence, this was 1933. Great Depression just happened 1929. So a lot of Americans are just poor. So nobody credit is, up to par. So when the HOLC came, it had nothing to do with credit. Okay. So, but our communities were redlined before redline was a thing. Black families were often denied loans even when qualified, Larry, and were steered into subprime loans during the 2000s housing bubble. So that's the thing. We were qualified, we could pay them back, but we were moved into the subprime loans. Now those loans you can't pay back. So what I'm saying is black folks who qualify for traditional loans were pushed into subprime loans. So traditional loans, we could pay those back, interest rate normal, it's all good. But they were pushed into subprime loans that they cannot pay back. Okay, now he said Obama's lawsuit. Obama's lawsuit, Larry, that's not he always used that example in almost all of his talking points, trying to debunk systemic racism. But Obama's lawsuit doesn't debunk systemic racism. Citigroup and others face hundreds of similar lawsuits. So it wasn't like Obama lawsuit was the end all be all. They face other hundreds of similar lawsuits like that. So one class action failing doesn't erase a century of discriminatory lending practices. So Obama lawsuit failed, flopped. So all lawsuits after that are just garbage. They're just rubbish. Well, one man getting acquitted of murder is, nobody should be charged again for murder. That just was dumb. Okay, so now you're about to go to the prison to pipeline. Watch this.
Expelled about 300 or 400 black boys because they were fighting after a football game. In comes Jesse Jackson. He filed a lawsuit against the Decatur School Board, arguing that they were engaging in systemic racism by expelling these black kids because, after all, black kids are expelled more often than white kids. And they defended themselves by pointing out all around the country, irrespective of the racial composition of the school, irrespective of the race of the teacher, of the principal, irrespective of the race of the school board members, black boys were kicked out disproportionately. Why? Because they act out more. And doesn't that follow? Half of all the homicides that we talked about in this country are black on black, a large percentage of crime committed by black people. Why would people who are disproportionately commit crime not also disproportionately act out in school?
Sure.
And the reason, of course, is because of the lack of fathers in the house. Fathers create discipline. When you don't have that, you have all sorts of unintended consequences, not least of which is kids act out more in school.
Yeah, it's. I'll end on this note of just with racism. When we constantly scream racism whenever we see a disparity, we blind ourselves.
Now, an African tethered that knows nothing about racism, right? That's coming from a colonized state is going to speak on racism. And this is what we're saying when we say, hey, man, we don't want y'all speaking for us.
Least of which is kids act out more in school.
Yeah, it's. I'll end on this note of just with racism, when we constantly scream racism whenever we see a disparity, we blind ourselves to finding the real root of the problem. And I think that's something that you focused your career on, is finding the real root of the problem. And it sounds like you're saying, if we're going to start anywhere, we're going to start with fatherlessness. Would that be your answer?
That would be.
Wait. Before we do that, so he goes to now, I think his worst argument that he presents is when he tried to explain away the school to prison pipeline. I think, me personally, I think that's his worst argument. So if I was to ever get Larry Elder in debate, I'm going to want to talk about the school to prison pipeline. I'm not doing the bank loans and the fatherlessness. No, I want to debate him on school to prison pipeline. His argument is he's very, very weak there. Okay. So he said black kids are suspended more because they act out more. So it's not racism, it's fatherlessness, right? So everything is going to come down to, it depends who you listen to. Larry Elder is fatherlessness. If it's Thomas Sowell is black culture. If it's Candace Owens is welfare. You dig? What welfare to blame? So I got a good ear to listen to these folks' arguments. I know what they hone in more. Okay. So what he's ignoring when he say, "Oh, just fatherlessness," kind of sound like Umar, right? Kind of sound like Umar. That's why I say a Pan-Africanist, when it doesn't work, when they realize it's garbage, they normally turn to conservatism because the talking points are not that far apart. They're not. Okay. Anyway, so black students receive harsher punishments for the same behavior as white students. That's the issue, Larry. So that's what he does not want to address. They do the same action. So both kids are being bad, not just the black ones. Both are being bad. But the white ones are not getting punished as severely. And the severe punishment, the worst thing you can do for a kid in school is OSS, out of school suspension. If you let Kamala Harris break it down, which she does a great job doing, that out of school suspension increases the child likeliness of committing a crime, going to jail, and then going back to jail and back to jail. But it all starts from out of school suspension. Okay. And if you look at the stats, so Kamala Harris, she focused on elementary kids being suspended, out of school suspended, right? Out of school suspension. Yes, elementary school. Okay. So, and also not going to school. Parents not letting their young kids miss so many days. And so she was trying to address that in a severe way. But she attacks this with a good argument, her Back on Track program. But it really addressed the out of school suspension, school to prison pipeline, and she did good. She did a good job. Not everybody's wrong. Everything they do, everything they say. Y'all can't believe that unless you are deliberately being wrong, like him. Like he's deliberately being wrong. Okay. So preschoolers, black boys represent 18% of enrollment. Watch this, family, but 48% of suspensions. Okay. That's U.S. Department of Education, 2014. How do you make up 18% of enrollment, but 40% of suspensions, right? Teachers perceive black boys as older and more threatening than white peers. Okay, that's another study, 2014, American Psychological Association. So students look at black boys like they look at them almost like as adults. We're talking about 10 years old, 11, 12, 13. Now, I do agree parents should really be teaching their kids like discipline, and because they're going to get railroaded. They're going to get railroaded. If you can't control your child, start preparing boarding school or some type of military school. You got to. Otherwise, Larry Elder got a solution for your kid, and that's prison. Okay. So blaming fatherlessness is a red herring. White kids in single parent homes do not face the same disciplinary patterns, Larry. Family structures matter, but racist perceptions and policies still play a central role. So systemic racism doesn't go anywhere. Whether we have nuclear families like the Jim Crow era, like just name it. Just name where we're weak at, and I can show you we were strong there, and systemic racism was still there, still present. So systemic racism always was there. during our worst, during our best, Black Wall Street, whatever. Systemic racism was always there. That's all. That's a presence that had to be around. So they usually do fatherlessness to explain everything, like Dr. Umar.
Again, it is the number one problem facing America. There are three
problem. And it sounds like you're saying if we're going to start anywhere, we're going to start with fatherlessness. Would that be your answer?
That would be. Again, it is the number one problem facing America. There are 3 or 4 prominent Black leaders in America, a term I don't particularly care for. Barack Obama, I mentioned earlier about him writing a book about the angst he felt about not having a dad in his house. Al Sharpton had a nice middle-class life until his father ran off with another woman. Down to the hood he goes. Jesse Jackson was born to an unwed mother because she was impregnated by the married man who lived next door. He grew up in South Carolina, and he was taunted. Jesse ain't got no daddy. Jesse ain't got no daddy. There's a book called Thunder in America that talks about this. Louis Farrakhan's mother was estranged from her husband, had a boyfriend, took back up with the husband briefly, got pregnant with Louis, and tried to abort him with a coat hanger. So these are 4 prominent so-called Black leaders, all of whom either had no relationship with their fathers or a tortured one, and they rarely talk about this.
Yep. Even though it can be the root of so many problems, talking homelessness,
Exactly.
prison, dropping out of school, not ever attending college.
Exactly.
And what do you think, on a new final note, what do you think is the best way to address this? Where do we start?
You tell the truth. Read everything you can, written by Thomas Sowell. He's written some 40 books.
Read the books from Thomas Sowell. Okay, you're gonna commit suicide if you're FBA.
Also stuff written by Walter Williams, his very close friend. Watch PragerU videos. You get 5 minutes of enlightenment. And I would urge you to read my books. I wrote one called Dear Father, Dear Son, about my relationship with my father. And it's encouraged people to reach out to their fathers and to reconnect with them and try to revive their relationship. But arm yourself with the facts, with the information. The media misleads you because the majority of reporters are left-wing. I saw a study that looked at the White House press corps, covering the reporters covering the White House. 12-1 Democrats versus Republicans. Look at universities. 12-1 left-wing professors versus conservatives. And in history, 33.5, I think, to 1 in history departments, liberals versus conservatives. We're outnumbered. Hollywood, look at the contributions made by the major studios. Majority of it goes to Democrats or Democratic candidates. So we are being manipulated, indoctrinated by the left, whether it's Hollywood, whether it's big tech, whether it's media, whether it's academia. And so you have to fight back. The only way to fight back is to arm yourself with the facts.
Absolutely. When you're armed with facts, the rest does not matter, and especially not your feelings,
Right.
Sven Shapiro. Larry, thank you so much for coming on and giving us.
Yeah, we made this African booty scratcher tether somebody. Okay, so all right. So I might force myself to do a video faster. So I was going to do a video because I got extensive research on the origins of like single parent homes in Black America, something like that, fatherlessness, stuff they use. But like as I said earlier, like Dr. Umar, Larry Elder, they both use fatherlessness or single parent homes to be the reason for all of our failures. Like that's single-handedly the reason. It ain't systemic racism, it ain't redlining, it ain't job discrimination, house discrimination, it ain't police brutality and mass incarceration. It's just fatherlessness and single parent homes. So when I do my video, I want to show the origin and why our homes keep ending up a single parent home. You dig? Okay, it's easy to say fatherless, but why isn't he there? You dig? Is he just ghost dad? Or is there something going on that's causing the homes to be led by one parent unbeknownst by both parents? Okay. So but historically, enslaved families were systemically separated. So just a brief, what I'm gonna do in my video, the origins of fatherlessness, something like that. Maybe I use that word since that's the word they're using. Okay, so enslaved families were systematically separated, after slavery, black family structure was actually stronger than white families in the early 1900s, right? And that's what they would use. Okay, so mass incarceration, you don't think that had anything to do with single parent homes? What about the deindustrialization of the 70s and 80s? You don't think that had to do anything? Well, how about the welfare policies and public housing policies that penalized marriage couples, and also to qualify, you had to have no man in the house, and they would actually come to your house and search to see if there's a man in the house, any size, any toothbrushes, any pair of sneakers, men's sneakers, men's socks, a tie. They'll look for any sign to disqualify you from receiving welfare. So welfare was so bad. If welfare is so bad, then why were they going out their way to disqualify you, find reasons to get you off welfare? Think about that. Also, they didn't do the man in the house act on white women. And today, after the 90s, when Hispanics and African immigrants came over here, they can get welfare without the man in the house rule. So everybody's allowed to have an intact family, a nuclear family, to receive welfare, except Foundation Black Americans. We were the only ones that I know of, changed my mind, Charlie Kirk, but we were the only ones that had to have a single parent household to be eligible for welfare. I believe from what I read, everybody else can get welfare with an intact family, a nuclear family. So I need Larry Elder to explain that. But just going back, Black Wall Street was rebuilt. Okay, he said Black Wall Street was rebuilt. Well, so was the South after the Civil War. It doesn't mean they weren't destroyed. And the South is never the same. The South is the South states. Those South states are the poorest states in the country as a result. Obama was elected, so no racism. Having a African president didn't stop police killings or housing discrimination. All right, during that time, banks only care about credit scores. Then why did they give bad loans to black people with good credit during the housing crisis? So now all he gonna do is deny that happened. Now he might show stats and statistics to favor his point, but family, once you bring your stats and facts to favor your point, they'll deny them. This is the conservative way. School suspensions reflect bad behavior. Well, study shows same behavior, harsher punishment, right? The data doesn't lie, right, Larry? So white people commit the same offense in school and do not get suspended when they're home. They might get in-school suspension or teacher conference, but they're not home. Once they're home, single parent homes, mommy got to call out of work. It depends how old the kid is. Depends how old. But that's why Kamala was addressing, like, you had so many school suspensions with elementary kids. Well, they really can't stay home by themselves. So how is mommy handling that? Okay, 1 second. What do you want? We'll go to store later. Okay, so they blame fatherlessness as the core issue. Then why don't white single mother households not face the same systemic outcomes? All right. So if fatherlessness is the problem, the root of all the causes, the root of all sin, then Larry, what we can do is we can show that. Okay. So what we can do is we can show single parent homes from Latino families, white families, and whoever else, and they're not facing the same systemic outcomes as us. And you got hella single white parent homes. So anyway, Larry and Amala, corny, sit down. Just corny, just tether babble, coon babble, disrespecting foundation Black Americans. It's again, everything is war in us. Nothing they talked about was against immigration. Nothing they talked about was against the LGBTQIA plus community or this person, that person. Everything that these folks talk about, Pan-Africanist tethers, conservatives, everything is about FBAs. Make us look bad. We don't have excuse to fail. We're just degenerates. Like that is where everybody's at. So it's literally us versus everyone. All right, so now these women right here, I'm gonna play a round table. These women are addressing this. Let me show what they're addressing. They're addressing this. So these women are
Tell
gonna
you that.
address.
And don't say nothing else to me.
Figure out how Afro get in front of my motherfucker.
Okay, so these women did a round table discussing where they're addressing Trick Daddy remarks. Listen one more time.
I ain't never been to Africa. I never been to Africa. Afro or Africa. Never been there. I'm not from Africa. I'm born and raised in Goose, Florida. I'm born in Goose, raised in Liberty City, in the Poker Bean Project. Ain't never went to Africa. Ain't thinking about going there. And I heard it's a beautiful place. Yeah. And I know it's the motherland, yes. But not my mother, not her mother, and not her mother's mother. That ain't their land. America real true land is right here in the U.S. soil. My mama can't tell me not one story about Africa. I don't know nothing about Africa. All I know is all the African people I know and run into, they think they better than us over here.
So this thumbnail right here, this screenshot, I got a catchphrase where I say, people love to talk about us, but they hate to talk to us. Talk about us, but they won't talk to us. They won't confront us. So this person right here, this Tether, got all these Diaspora Wars videos. So I'm like, all right, damn, you talk about us a lot, but you never have an FBA on your panel, nothing. Like, can we defend ourselves? So I said, would you mind joining me on my podcast to break down the Diaspora Wars? And she put, thank you, but no thank you. And this is the reaction almost everybody who I comment and invite over here that talk about us. I mean, day and night they talk about us, but they don't want to talk to us about Diaspora Wars or the issues they had with us. And they always misrepresent us. They can't define FBA correctly. They can't define Tether correctly or our talking points, but they refuse to talk to us head on. All right. Okay. So I know I was at. So let's see where we at with the likes. We should be good, right? Aren't we good? Yeah. Thank you. The likes are good. Okay. So now these women right here at a round table, and they're gonna address Trick Daddy comments on how he's not African or African American. He's just American. He's just a Black American, foundation Black American. That's it. So here we are.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just threw up in my mouth.
She threw up in his mouth because he said the obvious. He's not African. Like, why is that just so disgusting? Why is that so, disrespectful? We're saying we're not African. Like, are you guys African? I mean, y'all look like Negro peens to me. Cake soap. I don't know what's going on. Everybody look like white women.
I apologize. So Dr. Alicia, I mean, what do you say? You real light-skinned.
They always got a doctor somewhere to like affirm. No, they're wrong. Are you a doctor in history? Because that's what the conversation really comes down to. We don't care about your doctors in psychology, sociology, tech, or nursing, or doctor. We don't care, medical. We don't care. Are you a doctor in history? You dig? We don't care about that. They always get a doctor on the panel to show authority, appeal to my authority. Doctor, you are invited over here as well.
What are your thoughts about identifying with African and African Americans? Because even on here, people will say certain things about even us, right? Being on the panel, say things about us, not, oh, y'all want to represent Black women. Won't you have some Black women on the panel? You know, stupid ass stuff like that. What do you think? How do you?
So it's stupid to get Foundation Black American people on the panel, because don't forget, when they say Black, that's not exclusive. When they say Black, that's inclusive, and that's that disgusting Amala African. She's Black in their mind. So having Amala on a panel, she's a Black woman, right? They'll call her Black. We won't. We'll call her African Tether, but they will call her Black, and she will call herself Black, and she will get on these panels and quote unquote represent us. That's why we like, no, we're delineating. That ain't Black, that's African, and she could only represent Africans and maybe conservatives, but she cannot represent FBA.
Okay, so we have to listen to Trick Daddy. He is saying that he has no familial ties to anybody outside of America, that in America is where he was born, and that is what he identifies with. So he's not, I mean, in that perspective, I can see that. But part of understanding who and what you are, the exploration and the self-discovery, involves who are you in the ethnic sense. And that's part of your development. So in an ethnic sense, he is of African descent, right? And so I would encourage him to try to figure out a little bit more about what that means to him. What does it mean that he, considering the history of how Black people came to America, taken from the homeland, because he did recognize the motherland. So he is able to recognize that's the motherland. It's a beautiful place, but he's talking about the disconnect between that word African. African is a whole continent. You don't really know what country you are necessarily from, unless he did like a DNA test and it shows where you are. So I think he's identifying with the fact that he, culturally speaking, he's not necessarily connected to any particular country in the motherland, that he's more connected to where he's from, Miami somewhere, projects, that's his cultural connection. And so that's what he's speaking of. So just summarizing what he might be trying to say.
Okay. All right, cool. The rest of you, I just want, real brief, what your thoughts are of what he had to say. So Lala, what do you think?
We all have roots somewhere, and we don't just come out of the air. Just because you don't identify with our motherland doesn't mean that's not a part of your history. That's a part of your DNA. That's a part of our skin. That's a part of our culture. That's a part of our inner being. So I totally disagree with him. And besides, America's going to label you whatever the hell they want to label you. So that's just the way that it is.
What about you, Dr. Lene?
It's such a weird place. I get I understand the concept of African American because it goes back to our ancestors. It's rooted in where our ancestry is from. Although we don't identify with Africa or African, but we know that from the slave trade, we have absolutely no idea where we come from, if we're being honest, but we know most likely from Africa, right?
Yeah,
And
so again, they'll say slave trade, but they won't talk about the sellers and buyers. They won't do that's taboo. Because why don't you ever say the slave trade? When Africans sold us to Europeans, they'll never do that. They'll just say slave trade, and they'll go from there, always.
I think it's a nod to our ancestors. So I don't not like it. I don't like Black. Black is a color. It's not a race. American, we can go with that.
Yeah, hold on. Is this a doctor? Hold on. This is a doctor. Hold on.
I think it's a nod to our ancestors. So I don't not like it. I don't like Black. Black is a color. It's not a race.
Black is a color, not a race. Family. That's why I say it does not intimidate me. They have a doctor before their name. Black is a color, it's not a race. This is a stupid doctor. Okay? This is a real stupid doctor. Let me go here. This is a real stupid doctor. Black is a color and not a race. Let me see. This is the PDF, by the way. I'm pretty much done. I just got to send it to somebody. This is Microsoft Word, but this is like online. And you see right here, I click File, I click Export, and when I make it to PDF, the PDF, it comes out unformatted. It don't look like this. You see, I got the pause break here, the page break there. I got all neatly put together. Once I make it a PDF from this online Word, Microsoft Word, it gets chaotic and I can't fix it. That's why I haven't sent it to anybody. But I'm thinking about maybe I send it to somebody that has Microsoft Word and you guys can make it a PDF, put it in your Word, make it a PDF, and then I'll send it back to me. Let me look over it and I can tell you what changes I want to be made. Okay, so where am I looking for? What am I looking for? What am I looking for? Okay. I think we're somewhere. No. This was before because I just added this right here in. So I'm trying to look for something. You know what? Let me do this. How did I? Yes. What do you want? Hey, stop. Hey, all right, you're doing too much right now. Hey, you gotta stop. Okay. What? There's a monster right there. All right. Okay. Where did the capitalize? Let me see. Try to playing with this. There we go. I can't go on past it. All right. She said this.
Don't not like it. I don't like black. Black is a color. It's not a race.
Black is a color, it's not a race. We are black and proud. We're not African. Black is capitalized when referring to people in a racial, ethnic. What isn't black again, fool?
I don't not like it. I don't like black. Black is a color. It's not a race.
Okay, this is a stupid doctor who hates FBA and she's about to get cooked. Black is a race, ethnic, when it's referring to people, doctor. So we need to know what you got your doctorate in. Okay. Reasons for capitalizing black, doctor, include signifies shared identity and history. Capitalization recognizes that the word is a proper noun, doctor. It's not colors, are not this.
I don't not like it. I don't like black. Black is a color. It's not a race.
Black, a color black is not a proper noun, ma'am. Referring to a group of people with a shared sense of history, identity, and community, particularly within the African diaspora. Now, doctor, here's your problem. Capitalizing black distinguishes it from the color. Capitalizing black prevents confusion with the adjective black that describes the color, doctor. So black is not a race. It depends if it's lowercase black or capitalized black. And we call it big B, little b. So if any foreigner call themselves black, for the sake of argument, they are little b. They're the adjective. They're black because they say that's their color. We're black because that's who we are. It defines us. So we're big B. We are the proper noun. You guys are the adjective. Okay. So we capitalize our black, but you guys keep your black lowercase like that. Okay. So when you capitalize it, it prevents confusion from the proper noun, from the adjective. so you don't make mistakes like this.
I don't not like it. I don't like black. Black is a color. It's not a race.
You're done. You're dead. Okay, so now you also capitalize black. B shows respect using the capital B is seen as a sign of respect, similar to how other racial, remember you said wasn't a race? Other racial ethnic terms like Asian, American, Latino are capitalized. Family, they died that fast. And this PDF, I got page 21. I think, how many pages? 54, but it's important. You need all the pages. So we have the three that she look alike, and we go right into culture, whole bunch of stuff. This is a dope PDF. But like I said, I need somebody to, I gotta send it to somebody, and they gotta try to convert it for me to their downloaded version of Microsoft Word. And I think, because I'm a guy who's very experienced on Microsoft Office applications, and I never experienced this problem until I started rocking with the online version of Word. All right. So anyway, so she's dead, and now you see why they don't want to accept my invitations. I don't like black. Black is a color. Really? Put me onto that. Tell me more.
Most likely from Africa, right? And so I think it's a nod to our ancestors. So I don't not like it. I don't like black. Black is a color. It's not a race. American, we can go with that, but it devalues the fact that we're black. So what's
Wait. American devalues what? Can you...
it devalues that we can go with that, but black is a color. It's not a race.
Lies.
American, we can go with that, but it devalues the fact that we're black. So what's the right terminology? If it's not African American, I don't like Black American because I'm not black, right? So what do we call ourselves?
She just might not be black, ethnically. She might be a foreigner. So she's right. Gotta tell you, foreigners are lowercase black. They got little b. Foundational blacks are big B. We're big B blacks, and foreigners are little b blacks. They're the adjective version of black. We are the proper noun version of black. So she just might be right. She just might be an African American.
It's one of the things that frustrates me when we're talking about can we all get on the same page? We can't even all get on the same page with what we're gonna call ourselves. Whoop whoop.
Yeah, what's up with these folks? Oh, the whoop whoop. No, we are on the same page. You're off page because your logic is flawed. Look, let me try again. Computer screen froze. Computer screen froze. Okay. My computer keeps freezing. All right. Great show. Can I invite all of you, or some of you, or just one of you to my podcast to talk about the same topic? Thanks in advance. All right. Damn. Shaking my head. I couldn't even listen to this confusion. She's not listening to no one was taken anywhere. Wait. She said the same. The man knows where he's from. I can't believe. Elon Musk is African American. Oh, the chat roasting him. We are. Oh my God. Because anyway, the comments the few comments they had was roasting them. So I already know where this going. It smelled kind of tetherish.
Well, goddamn. All right, what you think, Athena?
You know, I gotta be careful before they start calling me tether and then
Yeah, you better tread real lightly because
Okay, well, most likely you are a tether.
folks on here might have your ass.
But I think
So again, family, this is a controlled panel. They don't have no FBA. They don't have anybody. Let me say it better. They don't have anybody who calls themselves FBA to represent FBA to speak on why Foundation Black American or even ADOS is a better term than African American. Okay, but I would love to talk to this doctor. I would love to cook her on black. I would love to. It's like a whole bunch of mulattoes and tethers up there.
to, you know, piggyback off of what Dr. Lene said was that we have, I think this is points to an issue that we have with racial identity as a people. You know, a lot of us came over here, or our ancestors came over here, whether or not your boat stopped America or the Caribbean or wherever else the boat stopped for you.
Yeah, how do they have the same talking points? Matter of fact, let me share this one real fast. So the boat stop is one, and this is another one.
Better, and still people continue to kind of stoke these fears and these misunderstandings that does not benefit any one of us, because when you're stopped by the police, they don't give a damn if you're from South Africa or if you're from.
Yeah, it's impossible for all of them to have the same talking points, and they say that we are the alphabet boys. How? We don't say the same thing. You guys all say the boat stops different places.
Boat stopped America,
and you all say this.
When you're stopped by the police, they don't give a damn if you're from.
Yeah, they say the same exact points. How is that possible? How? That sounds like you guys got a script, not us.
From South Africa or if you're from South Philly, they don't care. They're still busting your ass. They're still treating you like shit. And
how do you know that? Like, you guys got too much information. How do you know that a racist cop doesn't care whether that black is, well, that big B, that person is big B or little b? How do you know that? Like, did you get a memo? Okay, no, as soon as that officer hear your accents, because they're going to definitely do the accents to show that I'm not foundational, and they're going to be quick to show their license if it's an African name on there. Look, officer, take my ID. And the officer's like, nah, I don't want your ID. No, I insist, because you want him to see that African name.
that is a reminder that the solidarity between Black folks have not just been around the evolution.
Stop it, the police bullshit.
Or the Caribbean or wherever else the boat stopped for you. And a lot of people, a lot of Black people in this country do not necessarily.
Yo, she looks crazy as hell. That cake soap. The boat drop analogy, police car analogy. What else, family? God damn.
Feel connected to their African roots. And I think Trick Daddy is explaining that or expressing that for himself. However, I think there's an element to me of sadness to see that disconnect, right? And then what do we call ourselves? Do we call ourselves melanated people? But we all understand different people of different races have different
Listen, call ourselves melanated people waving a Jamaican flag. Does that make sense? Call yourself melanated people waving a Nigerian flag. Like, which one of you are willing to put down your flag? Zero. Exactly. So stop with we want to rename ourselves. All of a sudden, family, yo, we are so powerful, but we don't use it. We don't use our power. We don't use our power to subscribe, like, and pull up when we live consistently. We don't use our power, but we are so powerful that we renamed ourselves, a better fitting term. And by doing that, the entire continent and the entire diaspora wants to rename themselves. Yo, this is crazy. We renamed ourselves something more fitting, more exclusive. 40, a small group, a small ethnic group, and the entire diaspora and the entire continent want to rename themselves. That's wild. And they can't even name something. They can't come up with something. Melanated people. What? Oh, shit.
Disconnect, right? And then what do we call ourselves? Do we call ourselves melanated people? But we all...
You already got a name. You already got a name, ma'am. You don't got to make up something new. You don't got to reinvent the wheel. You already got a name, and the name is, drum roll, Tethers. That's your name, ma'am. Your name is Tether, and all of you are Tethers. No need to look further. It's perfectly put, well packaged for you. Looks beautiful with a bow. Tether. Okay? We're FBA. You guys are Tethers.
Understand different people of different races have different melanin to them, right? Hispanics have melanin. So what exactly is it? And there's also so much confusion around race, ethnicity, nationality, and to be honest,
there is no confusion amongst the FBA. Amongst us, there's confusion with you guys, not us. Make that clear.
Most people don't even know what those three different things mean.
Right.
And there's an overlap between all three of those things.
Yeah.
So I think because we're not rooted, where we are historically from and our ancestral land, that it's causing these issues, and it leads us to the bigger issue of us not ever being connected as a people.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why we're so different as Afro-Americans, Black Americans, or whatever, in that when we see people who are in the Dominican, when they identify as their ethnicity and not as their race, we're like, wait, but you Black. Because that's how we identify. And there's a difference between being Black and being African-American, right? Because I have friends who are Puerto Rican. You still Black, but you may not be African-American, but you're Black. And so
here they go. Now they're making everybody Black. How do you just tell somebody they're Black? That's what that Somalian was saying yesterday. How you just gonna make him African and make him Black? He's like, nah, I'm Somalian. That's what I am. And by the way, in that PDF, it goes over that. How are you named? Are you named by your ethnicity? Are you named by your race? Are you named after your nationality? And it said it depends. It depends. It could be all three. It could be one. It could be two. It depends who controls the narrative. So if somebody want to be only identified as their nationality, that's fine. They control their narrative. As their ethnicity, that's fine. Or as their race, that's fine. Because that's how they want to be called. You can't come from somewhere else telling them, no, I understand you're Puerto Rican, but you're Black. No, that doesn't work, man. That's some goofy Pan-Africanist talking point.
Ethnicity and not as their race, we're like, wait, but you Black. Because that's how we identify. And there's a difference between being Black and being African-American, right? Because I have friends who are Puerto Rican. You still Black, but you may not be African-American, but you're Black. And so for everyone on the panel, how do you all identify? Do you identify as African-American or as Black? When I look at my grandmother's birth certificate, her birth certificate said she was mulatto. My parents' birth certificate said they was colored. My brother's birth certificate said he was a Negro. My birth certificate said I was Black. My kids' birth certificate said they African-American. Guess what I am? All of them. What about y'all? What about you, Dr. Lene?
The doctor is a fool. I'm done with her. I can't be Black. Sound like Kamala. No, I can't be Black. That's a color. Really? That's why stay in your lane. If you're a doctor of psychology, stay there. Don't come into a history or historical conversation. You get cooked. I can't be Black. Well, that's a color. Wrong as hell.
I go back and forth between African, when you're filling out paperwork or you're doing something like that, it says African American or it will say Black. So I kind of go back and forth between the two. If someone were to ask me, I would probably say African American. I'm an American with roots from Africa. That's probably what I would say. I do not like to call myself a color.
And she's still messing up. So you like to call yourself a continent, but you said, but then you didn't like American. So we get a family. When people is hell bent on African American, they are ops. They have a problem with black people. They have a problem with ADOS and foundational black Americans. Like, that's why they're hell bent on just African. I don't want to be a color, but then you'll call the Puerto Rican lady a black person. And then again, their standard, they will contradict it later. They'll say, okay, you're not a color. Okay. So then, okay, I'll keep it in mind. So you're not a color. That means nobody's a color, right? Not even Nigerians or Jamaicans. See, I would set it up perfect. Okay. Is that just you? Am I a color? No. Okay. What about Nigerians? Are they a color? No. What about Jamaicans? No. Okay. So based on that, there are no black Jamaicans and no black Nigerians. Muhammad, because she know she can't answer that question. I'm gonna say exactly, they're not black. Yeah, they usually cook themselves. You just ask the right follow-up questions and they're out of here.
I'll wait till you come back around. I have something I want to add to this whole conversation, but I'll wait till you get everybody else's description first.
All right. What about
Yeah, go start Googling. Good, go catch up.
you, Dr. Alicia? What do you identify as?
Yeah, we always run into this when I teach my research class, because we have to get background demographics on people, and race is black, right? And race is socially constructed. We can talk about that, okay? But in terms of ethnicity, you can put African American, and I know
Wait a minute, let's go back.
Black, right? And race demographics on people, and race is black, right? And race is socially constructed. We can talk about that, okay? But in terms of ethnicity, you can put African American. And I know, I just think that I want to comment a little bit about the Caribbean versus African American. First of all, sometimes there's a lot of shame about your ethnic heritage. And so, some people may not want to identify with their race because maybe they don't have the type of pride. Maybe they're disconnected from the rich history of Africans. Like when I went to Africa and I learned about all the beautiful things that Africa has to offer, it's a sense of pride in that, because I am genetically connected.
Diseases?
Bushmeat? Connected to the motherland. So I have a sense of pride.
So see, family, so this is a dishonest conversation. That's like me having this conversation number FBAs on the panel. I would like to invite a revenue, a Jamaican tether, what's the dude name? Jamaican American guy. And maybe an African. Like, I would like to get the different perspectives. I don't want a controlled panel.
Right. So when I say I'm African American, it's something that I'm proud of, right? So then when I lived in Florida, I used to live in Tallahassee, and I had a friend who was from Jamaica, and she pointed out to me, she said, "You see that car with that big Jamaica flag on it?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "They're putting that on their car because they want to differentiate themselves. They want to let everybody know that they're not African American, that they're Jamaican American." Like, she made that distinction. And I said, "Are you serious?" Her name was Nina. I said, "Nina, do they really do it?" She said, "Yeah, I think that they do that. They want to put what a Caribbean country that they're from when they're driving around Florida." I only saw it in Florida. I don't see it anywhere else. But she said that was to separate. So I think that's just really interesting what you wish and hope to identify with, because to me, when I see people from the Caribbean, I just think we all the same to me. We all are. Okay. I like to say connected at the hip, and I do a lot of work with people from Africa and people who are from Caribbean, and I feel at home in that culture. So I don't know. It's just really a fascinating thing to try to the confusion that's left over from slavery. We're a people without a country, So
here we go with this one. Now, these supposed to be educated women. She's saying we, like Foundation Black Americans. She's not saying we as the whole entire diaspora. She's saying we are a people without a country, but Jamaicans are people with a country, because we got our country the same way every diasporan got their country. Remember that boat drop off analogy? So we inherited the country we were dropped off to. We inherit the country that we were dropped off to. Okay? So you see, like, their words end up coming back to bite them. So now we're the only people that was dropped off to a country and it's not ours, but everybody else get to inherit that country. Okay, make that make sense.
The separation from the motherland and what it did to us. Our culture was basically rooted into African tradition, but also partly because of slavery. So, you know, we are a little bit confused because our history was cut off.
Good. What about you, Lala? How do you identify?
I'm gonna throw a kink in it. I'm black and black, but my mama on my birth certificate is white, and my father is Negroid. Okay, so I be personally of blackity black. My black is beautiful.
How the hell you blackity black if you if your mom white and your dad black and you look like you like a mulatto? Like, wait, did I hear that correctly?
I'm black.
Confused a little bit because our history was cut off.
Good. What about you, Lala? How do you identify?
I'm gonna throw a kink in it. I'm black and black.
And why did they talk all stupid? You notice that when all of them got to express what they call themselves, like they like downplayed it in some stupidity like this. I'm blackity black. Why can't answer the question professionally? Like all of them like jokingly said, "Hey, I'm this."
Just a little bit because our history was cut off.
Good. What about you, Lala? How do you identify?
I'm gonna throw a kink in it. I'm black and black, but my mama on my birth certificate is white, and my father is Negroid. Okay, so I be personally of blackity black.
White mom and black dad does not equate to blackity black. I don't know what we're doing here, but that's what you're not. You're not blackity black. Whatever definition you got, probably little b, probably race. I'm sorry, probably little b, probably color. So, and you definitely don't look blackity black. So, and she's using black as a color, not how we use it as a proper noun. So, big B. So let's see if this makes sense.
My black is beautiful. Thank you.
So you don't identify as African American?
I don't care either one. I really don't.
Right.
They all look at us the same anyway. It doesn't.
So why did they just list African American? Why didn't they say, so you don't list, you don't list just, what about Black American? Like, you know what I mean? Like they're trying to like spoon feed. Hey, what about African American? And she's like, hey man, I don't really call myself that, but I will, today for the show.
Matter to me. I know what I am in my heart.
Amen. What about you, Athena?
So I usually just go by black, or whenever I had to fill out anything here, then African American.
Yeah, they messing up the narrative. They supposed to be saying African, but they're saying she said black. But if I fill it out, no. But that's not your choice. That's already on the paperwork. Black. Are you American? Yeah. Okay. So you guys agree with Black American. I forgot. She said African American, whatever. But I forgot what she said. But these two said black. So if they're black, then they're Black American. Well, I don't know what the hell. I think no. She's not Black American. I think she is. She's a little bit foreigner.
I am Jamaican as well, and my birth certificate is a Jamaican birth certificate on there. I actually need to take a look and see what it says on there, because everyone was going through the classification. I was like, I wonder what it says on it. So I have to go to my dad's house and take a look.
Yours is going to say tether. Yours specifically, not every Jamaican, but yours will say tether for sure.
Look at what it says on there, but I have no problem with African American, Black, Jamaican, whatever. It doesn't really matter to me. Like I've always said on the show before that I don't always think about race, or race is not the first thing that I think about. And I think growing up in a country where pretty much everyone is Black, I had that luxury of not having to think about race until I had to move here.
Right.
And I had to think about it. So I think that also plays into that.
Have you guys all taken the Ancestry DNA? So do you know your makeup? Has anybody taken the African Ancestry DNA? So you know where your tribe is? I've done both.
I need to do African Ancestry.
Fascinating.
Well, what is it? Tell us. What is it? You want to share?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm Sierra Leonean. I'm from the Igbo tribe, I think. And I'm two. So what happens is they do your mothers, because when you get into the fathers, especially for African Americans, it gets diluted because you got slave masters' blood in you, right? So they do the maternal. They go all the way back to the maternal line. And
that's my thing. Where they can't have an honest discussion. Because like you said, her father would go to a white man, right? But her mother go to some African person. But then she'll say she's just African based on that. It's like, wait a minute, but your dad was white. So you're not. See, so it's just a goofy conversation, man. It's just a bunch of just fakeness.
Gina Page, she always goes to the Power Networking Conference, but she has a company called African Ancestry DNA, and it's actually different from regular Ancestry DNA because they have more data from Africa. So when like on the regular Ancestry DNA, it's like a lot of Nigerian stuff like that. I'm not even Nigerian. I'm Balanta people living in Guinea-Bissau and Mindi and Timni people living in Sierra Leone. That's where my tribe is from. So they have more data from Africa than Ancestry DNA is. So they're able to really kind of center in and see where your DNA is from, where your tribe is from. It's fascinating. But Ancestry is also fascinating because I've met, long lost cousins and, stuff that people didn't, know that, they wasn't supposed to know, all that kind of stuff pop up too. Anyway, we'll talk more about it when we come back from a commercial.
Hey, if you're just tuning in, you were watching because that's the point. No.
Queens to 87948. And while we're having this discussion, I'm interested in seeing what because I know most of the people on here are, I don't even know what to call y'all because I don't want to offend y'all. But what do you identify as? What's your identity? I hear a lot of people talking about, well, I ain't from Africa anyway. My people are Native American and we from America. And I think for me, it's part of that whole self-hatred, thing where they don't want to be from Africa. They only want, and I know it's people in the comments that are saying the same thing. I'm not from Africa. My people are Native American and we're from here. I even heard the rapper Waka Flocka say that he's not African. His people are Native American. And then I hear people saying, well, my great grandmother told me we was Indian. But then when you do the DNA, because DNA don't lie, it tells you exactly what it is. What happens is most of you are mixed with European.
DNA might not lie, but you do. You definitely lie. Okay, you're mad. We're not African. It's okay. Why the desperation to make us African? But we know why. Because then we can't look. If we're African family, if we're African, then guess what? Then we sold ourselves. If we're African, if we let them trick us to believe that we're African, then we sold ourselves. And then guess what? Africa's off the hook. They're like, hey, well, you don't have a case now. Your case is dropped. If they make us African family, then we literally sold ourselves over here. So it's actually our fault why we're over here. No, ma'am, you're African. You sold us.
And not necessarily Native American, but somebody then told y'all that your great grandfather was Native American, and so you've taken on that. But what do you think about people not wanting to just claim Africa at all, saying that they have no roots to Africa? What do you think? Is it a self-hatred thing, Dr. Lene?
I don't think it's a self-hatred thing. I think it's a uneducated thing. I think it's what's the right word? Antiquated. Like I think I think that as we have gotten further away from slavery, we have gotten further away from slavery. So we don't want to be tied to anything that has to do with Africa. We don't want to be tied to anything that has to do with slavery.
Doctor, can you explain how we got over here? Can you explain who actually sold us? Will you admit that, Doctor?
We don't want to be tied to anything that implies anything negative. I was born here. I'm an American.
My fault. Computer freezing. I got many programs.
Hatred. I don't think it's self-hatred. I think it might be more ignorance than self-hatred. So what I was looking up is, why is the terminology for Black people African American, but white folks is called Caucasian? How come they're not called white folks? So Caucasian is a term used to describe people with origins in Europe, the Middle East, or North Africa, which we say European or we say Caucasian. We don't say white Americans. We don't say European Americans. We just say American, or we say Caucasian. Why then do we say Black or Black American or African American? And we were actually born and raised here. How come Black people don't have our own name that's not African American or just, I don't know, Caucasian? I can't even think of a dope name that we could call ourselves that's just a name. Melanesians or something. I don't know. That's too close to Asian, so we can't be Melanesians. But so you know what I'm saying?
Anything and everything but Black American, right? So that means that James Brown and the Black Power movement throw it in the trash. See, like, these folks need to be challenged. They need to be. So Malcolm X, the same guy they make our leader, they make Malcolm X our leader. So let's bring Malcolm X back to them. Malcolm X said we were Black, right? So was he saying a color? Was he that dumb? So you just bring it right back to them, man. Like, these women are light work.
I'm saying, like, we don't have, why is color and or a reference to hue in our title and it's not in any others that I can think of?
Because they're cave people from the Caucasoid Mountains. But
it does say that too. It can also, it does say they're from the term originated in the 1700s when scholars believe Europeans came from the Caucasus Mountains. That is the truth.
They're cave people. That's why. Athena, what do you think?
What was the question again?
Shit, I forgot. Oh, the people who rather say I'm Native American or I'm Indian. I'm not from Africa at all.
Listen, however, you want to identify.
But this is the other thing, family. They try to go to the weaker link. So according to Tethers and Pan-Africanists, they think those who are FBA, who identify as indigenous Blacks, right, who don't claim slave ships, they think they are the easiest to attack. So, family, you'll find them normally center a lot of their hate, xenophobia, and arguments tailor-made at the folks who say they're indigenous. Like, because they go at them because they think they're the most vulnerable. They think their argument is the weakest, so they go after them most. I guarantee you, family. Matter of fact, I'm gonna change. They gave me an idea. I'm gonna change one of my YouTube channels to like an indigenous name. Family, I'm a reel 'em in like fish. I'm gonna do that in the background. I'm gonna change one of my YouTube channels to like an indigenous name, and I'm gonna have like an indigenous like a profile picture. I guarantee you, I reel 'em in like fish. I'm gonna do that right now in the background.
As is your right to choose, whatever delusion you want to live under, whether or not you call yourself Black, African American, Jamaican American, whatever. If you did a swab in your mouth, it will link you back to some kind of region in Africa.
They say no. They say no. They not from Africa.
Even, and I know a lot of people want to do the whole native, there were Black people in America and all this other stuff as well, right? However, we are all DNA connected. We are all like Black people. We're all African ancestry somewhere, right? So I think that is what is more important. I see a lot of nonsense in the chat. Miss D's saying that, if I'm Jamaican, I'm you not us because your family had to immigrate here. You not African American or Black, you Jamaican American, this, that, and the third. Listen, I don't want to hear no FBA ADOS nonsense today, right? Because I don't have time to stomp on you.
Wait, but your YouTube live is based on ADOS and FBA. Okay, you got rapper Trick Daddy sings not African American. That's our talking point. So stop it. You know what you're doing. You're trying to get clout off of us.
Today, to be honest with you, my patience is very thin, right? Because I know more about Black history than most y'all in this chat. And
they always say that, but then turn down every invitation. Okay.
I've done more to educate people on Black history than most y'all in this chat.
If you lying.
So anyway, what I want to say is that I also notice a colorism thing within this aspect, right? Because I tend to notice the people who take these positions tend to be darker skinned, like Trick Daddy. I notice people who are lighter skinned Black people or even biracial, they will tend to be more pro-Black and want to align themselves more so with their Black ancestry.
How do you do
and that? I always find it like odd to me that people like Trick Daddy, who, listen, we can run the clip again, but his face is almost blended into his shirt, will have all these issues about being African and having African ancestry. Now, I do live in South Florida. Trick is from Miami, Florida. There's a lot of Caribbean Blacks. There's a lot of, more so Caribbean Blacks than African, like Nigerian and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Trick's mom is from South Carolina. I don't know what his ancestry is, but clearly, even if you're from South Carolina was one of the biggest slave hubs where they were dropping people off for slavery. So your ass ancestry in Africa.
Let me ask you this, Dr. Alicia, because, you know, I think when we talk about, because now we battling over who was most oppressed and who, you know, and when we separate ourselves, it feels like, you know, it's part of this colonization, this whole idea of colonization. We've been mentally, first we were physically colonized. Now we're mentally colonized because now we want to just separate ourselves from other Black people when we really do have the same DNA in us. Is this part of like self-hatred? Is that colonization? Like, where does this come from? Somebody in the chat saying that she's not really Black because she had to immigrate over here, but they went through slavery just like us. Why? What's with this whole idea of this separation that we're seeing?
That's an interesting question. I think you need to pay attention to the similarities in the cultural origins, but you also need to pay attention to what's specific to Jamaica, for instance. Jamaica has its own language, patois. They have their own cuisine. And their language and the cuisine is closely tied to Africa, right? Even here in America, you got the Geechee sound. Lord, I don't know what I was in Mississippi. I don't know what nobody was saying. It was language that was closely tied to Africa. So it's really what you see is a disbursement of how the language, the culture.
You know, what's crazy about these women? They make claims. Again, people know I was in South Carolina. I spoke to Geechee people, Gullah people, and they resented being African. All right, they said they are American. I spoke to hella Geechee, way more than any of them combined. All right, and don't forget, I'm talking to them as an FBA, so I'm using my FBA consciousness to talk to them because I'm trying to see if they have any like foreign ancestors. So I'm asking, hey, so what was your father? So was your mother? And they probably wonder, like, why the hell are you asking me this stuff? If you come over, you gotta turn this down, man. You keep bringing the iPad over.
Culture is evolved. I mean, you got okra, you have food, you have culture, you have the sense of family, familial, all of that cultural piece is derivative of the continent of Africa where there's an abundance. You got to remember that agriculture and climate has a lot to do with culture. So that's why non-whites tend to be very communal. They're not individualistic. You know, that's part of the culture that you see that weaves right on through. I always talk about, I spent time in Guyana. I feel closer to people from Guyana than I do with people right here in America.
Really?
So in terms of their culture.
In Ghana or wait, in Ghana or Guyana?
Guyana.
Oh, South America.
South America.
Okay.
And I felt a sense of belonging that I never feel here. So, you know, it's part, and I just want to say,
it froze.
I would think at 50, he'd be a little more evolved. Maybe this is why we don't need to take critical race theory out of schools. Maybe we need to keep the Department of Education intact. Hello. Maybe we're going to hear more of these kind of statements that's bizarre, right? Because we're not educated. But I just really wonder why this denial. Is it denial or is it lack of awareness? And if it's lack of awareness, how are you going to connect with who and what you are in terms of your ethnic identity? How are you going to connect and understand who you are in a heritage? Your heritage is part of who you are. And if you deny that, then you're denying pieces of yourself. And I don't know how that's helpful in terms of mental health. You know, part of finding out who you are is exploring yourself in terms of your gender, in terms of your ethnicity. That is healthy identity development, is having that exploration, being able to dive into your cultural heritage and understanding where the lineage and where that's from so that you can integrate it into being an American at the same time. That integration process is really when you know your identity has been solidified. So maybe he's going through an identity crisis. I don't know. At 50 something, you would think people would have explored those things. So you have to have the ability to kind of reflect and incorporate in terms of finding out who you are. Who's Trick Daddy? Who is he?
He's a trick and he's somebody daddy. So after we come back from commercial, Lala, I do want to ask you, because there's so much separation, and you being a person of mixed race, you know, mom is white, daddy's black, but you were raised in a black household, but there's so much division, right? And that's also a form of white supremacy, of way we've been conditioned, not only within our culture, but then you look at the diaspora, where you see this level of separation, right? But in this climate, we're going to have to start working together. We're going to have to start identifying and being on code and being one. How do we do that going forward? Because it's needed now more than ever. I want to discuss that when we come back from commercial. Okay, I want you to touch on that.
You want to grow your money and not blow your money, as Constance says. Check us out at flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, programs, videos, resources. In 2024, there's no reason to be broke when there's information all around us. So get your money right. FlyNubianMoney.com.
Come on, all together, all together, all together. Yes, yes. Come on, Dr. There we go. There we go. But this whole idea of this separatist identity that we have going on, and the thing that keeps like pitting us against each other, is a form of white supremacy. What do we do, Lala?
We need to.
That's the other talking point I forgot about. So one is, hey, where the boat dropped us off at, it's the same boat. And then if the cop pulls over, I forgot. The other one is, you FBAs, you guys use white supremacy talking points. You guys are helping white supremacy win. Okay.
Stop trying to separate our own kind. The thing is, what bothers me the most when I am told that I'm not Black. Listen, baby, I'm not the one who decided to get together and make me.
It's freezing. Hold on. My fault. I'm in the background trying to change my other channel to some indigenous name to get these guys over. So just give me a second. That's why I keep freezing.
And to be very honest, my birth mother was definitely white, but the reason she left her family is because they were so racist, and that was not what she believed in her heart. She's had 18 kids, okay, and they all mixed with something. She left, yes, I said 18. She left me with my aunt, who was my dad's mom, and so I was raised in the Black culture. I know what I am. It doesn't mean that I don't dismiss that part of my mother's life, but I know what I was raised in. I know what my roots are. And so I embrace those as well. I have had it from both sides. I have had white people tell me, you know, well, you came in the white side of the group, and then terrible times is when Black people tell me that I don't belong there either. I can't come to the club. I can't come to the Black Panther meetings. Well, you know, you have to really realize that you're separating those of us who didn't have a choice in the matter. And so therefore, I'm not a threat. I'm a part of this family, not an ally. Not an ally. I am a part of this. And so we need to stop separating each other for things that we can't control and get on all accords. Now, here's an interesting fact that I want to share with you.
Yeah, I could definitely control your disrespect. Stop it.
I have a cousin who's about 5 years younger than I am. Same situation. However, she grew up with her white mom. So she identifies as white because that's how she was raised. She was skiing in Aspen, you know, those type of things. So you have to understand that all of this doesn't necessarily mean the color of your skin. It is a lot to do with your identity.
Wait a minute. Doctor just said she's not Black because Black is a color. So now you're debunking Black over there? I mean, doctor that said Black was a... Okay, so doctor, you just got debunked by your own panelists. It's not a color. So the non-doctor was able to understand that we don't use Black as a color. We use capital B, not little b. Okay, we're not little b, we're big B.
Necessarily mean the color things. However, she grew up with her white mom. So she identifies as white because that's how she was raised. She was skiing in Aspen, you know, those type of things. So you have to understand that all of this doesn't necessarily mean the color of your skin.
Yeah.
It is a lot to do with your identity and how you were brought up. And that's just how I feel about it. And just recently down in Florida, when they gave me new license, girlfriend looked at me and said, okay, she white. My Black husband standing right beside me. Oh, she white. Okay, Caucasian. I said, no, ma'am, I am Black. You should have seen her turn red. You don't just assume what somebody is. You can't go off of looks because we come in all shades of
that part. I mean, that's just what it is. Like, you know, my mama is fully Black, probably your complexion, and was born with red hair. And she was treated very differently growing up, but you know, she's still Black. In fact, when we look at her ancestry DNA, she got 80% African. My dad is dark skin. He got 70% African. So it's really interesting.
There's no such thing as African. He was a bunch of small percentages of different countries within Africa. They got to make their mind up. Okay. Like they say, Africa is not a country. So he was not 84% of no African country. He was not, and nobody was 79% of no African country. They were tiny 10%, 20%, 4% of different African countries. Stop it.
I mean, we're all in all different shapes and sizes and colors. Like, that's just how we are. I do want to look at some of these graphics, because look at the term colored. It's a prevailing term from the mid to late 19th century. So this is how we've evolved into where we are today. The mid to 19th century, we were called colored up until the civil rights era. And then we were Negro. And this term picked up steam towards the end of the 19th century and continued, ultimately replacing the word colored. And people actually get offended when you say colored. But as its term, Negro took on negative connotations and faded in use after Black leaders advocated alternate names in the 1960s. And then we became, say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud. I'm Black and I'm proud. Initially favored by radical and militant Blacks in such groups as the Black Muslims and the Black Panthers, but eventually it became mainstream. I love being Black, y'all. I love it. And then we were Afro-American. And it was reportedly introduced by Malcolm X with his establishment of the organization Afro-American Unity in 1964. And then we mosey on down to the 90s when a group of Black people, including the Reverend Jesse Jackson, called for African American. Now we are sophisticated. We don't say we Black in certain areas. We got to say we are African American. And this is a deeper than just name recognition. Black tells you about skin color, is what he said, and what sides of town you live on. African American evokes discussion of the world. And so that's how we've gotten here. So what does that mean for us? Like, if do you get offended by any of those names? Do any of you guys get offended by if somebody called you colored? Oh, that little color girl. I've heard white people say color gal. Do you get offended if somebody calls you Negro? I call somebody a Negro and they got offended.
Don't call
you guys,
me colored.
No colored?
No.
Why you don't like colored?
Because where I grew up in Kentucky, that was just as bad as calling me a nigga.
Really?
Yes.
Wow,
Yes.
I didn't know that. Interesting. See, you learn something new every day. I had no idea. Any of you guys? Any of those names offend you? Colored, Negro, Dr. Lene, Athena, Dr. Alicia?
I mean, I'm fine if you call me Dr. Lene. You can call me that. Just don't call me.
Don't call you gal.
Yeah, don't call me gal. Don't call me colored.
I mean, well, back then it was okay. It was okay to say it back then because it was back then. But we've transitioned. I mean, I think that's the thing, is to understand this history of these terms and what it meant in those times. Part of it is just being able to look at the history in its totality and to integrate it into your life. Like, who are you? Okay, you're multi-race. People who are multi-race, they have to take a look at that and identify with all the different races that they are, and then integrate it into themselves, that they are all of these other things, that their identity is complex. And that complexity means that you need to explore all the different aspects of who and what you are.
Yeah.
Okay. In terms of, not just in terms of race, but in terms of your socioeconomic status, in terms of everything about yourself, what it means to be a woman. What does it mean to be Black? What does it mean to be of this socioeconomic status? All the different aspects that make up who and what you are. It's important to explore those things so that you know who you are. You have a sense of self and say, okay, this is what I am, and not feel ashamed about it, and be proud of who you are, because that's what makes you unique. Like, all of us are unique, and we have unique gifts that we bring to the table, and a lot of what we bring to the table has to do with our background. Our ethnic heritage is a very important part of who and what we are. I know Italian Americans and Greeks and people who are Asian, all the different Asian cultures, East Indian, all of these different aspects and of who you are and how you express yourself. You have to let people develop in terms of their identity.
Mm-hmm. So let's go to this other video, because here on the other side, you have somebody saying, yo, yo, even though your mama and you might not be from Africa, your roots are in Africa. I can actually go back, because I've done the research for me. And my grandmother's father, straight African. So when you talk about that's so far removed, that's my mom's grandfather. It's from his parents. He's born right out of slavery, but his parents are from Africa. So for people to have that disconnect is just so weird to me. But let's look at this video where this young lady talks about what our connection is to Africa and why we should be connected.
All right, you were born right here in America. That doesn't change who your ancestors are. And as old as you are, you should know this. Why are y'all going so hard to diss Africa? What has the motherland, the beautiful motherland, done to you? And look at your skin. You are chocolate. You are chocolate. All right? Be proud to be Black. Be proud of your ancestors who came from Africa, your African ancestors, and be proud of your African American culture. You don't have to go on some weird tangent about how you're not Africa. No. It just shows you don't know history. You don't know who you are. And you have a problem with it. Y'all have a problem with who you are. And I blame colonization. They have.
What do you think? Do you blame colonization for that, Dr. Lene?
Do I blame colonization for the fact that we as a people do not know who we are or what to call ourselves? No, not really. I don't blame colonization. No.
What do you think it came from?
I think it came from, I think that it is, I think the slave masters were smart. They kept us separate. They stripped us of our ancestry. They stripped us of our roots, and we're lost. We don't know, right? People don't know unless you take. Let's take the DNA test out of the mix. If you have no DNA test, we're just here in America. We don't know where we come from from slavery, and we landed here in America. So outside of that, we have no insights into our background, where we come from, who we are, where our ancestors come from. I think the reason why other cultures come here and they're okay with Asian American and Greek American, Italian American, because they know their ancestry, they know their roots, they know that their great-great-grandmother was Italian, they know that their great-great-grandmother was Greek, they know that their great-great-grandmother was Hispanic. We don't have that unless you do something like a DNA test. Without a DNA test, most folks, I'm going to assume, this is an assumption, you could tell me in the chat if I'm wrong, most folks without DNA tests probably can go back 2 to 3 generations, maybe 4, but probably 2 to 3 generations. And 2 to 3 generations is probably slavery. But even at that time, nobody's probably talking about, this is where I came from. Make sure that my great-grandchildren know. This is how we got here. This is who your great-great-great-great-grandfather was. This is what your great-great-great-great-grandfather did. This is where your great-great-great-great-grandfather came from. We don't have those stories. We don't know. Even though we're getting DNA tests that can tell us based on our blood, we don't have the stories. How did your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather get here? How did you get here? Who was sold where? We don't have anything about our historical past. Sometimes we'll have like a family tree, but even that doesn't tell you where you come from. So,
but Dr. Lene, basically what you said is you just negated your answer, because that is colonization. That's what happened. Everything that you said was due to us being colonized by the Caucasoid people. That's the reason.
The Caucasus Mountain people.
Yeah, that's why we're in the position that we're in. I mean, what do you think? Do you think who agrees with this lady and who doesn't agree with this lady? Anybody on the panel that doesn't agree with it? Dr. Lee?
Yes. Listen, before colonization, Black people, dark people lived in Africa. It was peaceful.
Are you sure? Because
there was an abundance. And actually, I mean, I've read books. They came before Columbus. We all read those books, right?
Of course.
But what was happening in Africa? It was peaceful. Actually, yes, it was. It was.
Didn't they have wars?
Men and women. Wars happened post-colonization, right? When white people came and separated everybody out, made countries, divvied everyone out, because that's what they do. They carve things out. They pit people against each other. I mean, a long history in Africa about what colonization has done to an entire group of people, just terrorized all of us, okay? And not only was it peaceful, but African women and African men, they were together on a lot of things. It wasn't all of this patriarchy and all, that's whiteness.
It is.
So not only did it separate and cause division in Africa, but it also caused division among genders. It caused division among different tribes. I mean, it really wreaked havoc in Africa. We just took people and started displacing them around for the benefit of greed and income, and the entire economic foundation of this world is because of colonization. And Europeans, British coming, and the Dutch, and all these individuals just using free labor to help build their own greed of materialism and all of this. I mean, all of the, what we see as problems with Black people in America, we can tie that directly back to slavery and colonization. It is probably hands down the evil thing. And the thing with people of African descent, because there was such an abundance, we're just loving people and we're inviting, because all of that sort of viciousness and hatred, that's
not in us. It's not in us.
Yeah, but we are just it will be forever before we are able to build ourselves back to what we used to be.
Yeah.
Okay, what we used to be.
Yeah.
And it is an amazing piece. This is just the tip of the iceberg. You can go through history and see how this happens. When white people came to Africa with their guns and their Bibles, that was the end of it for us.
Y'all, let me tell you something. Hey, listen, we can unpack that all day. We got to go to break. But something that really grinded my gears right before I got on here is I saw a video of your newly elected president that said that he was going to give white people reparations for the whole DI, that they were, what do you say? Because of equity, they suffered. So he was going to find the institutions and take their endowments, and he was going to give it to the people who suffered as a result, which were white people who were going to get restitution because of this whole idea of equity. Came out of his mouth. He said that in his speech. And that's part of what a lot of these people who are on here, who was anti-Kamala, who don't want a black woman as president. This is what he's saying. This is part of his dismantling of the Department of Education. This is what he wants to do, but that's part of that history that he wants to take away out of the schools. But we'll talk about it when we come back.
All right.
Fly Nubian Money is now on Spotify. Yes, we are on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, you can listen to us. All you have to do is search Fly Nubian Money and we will appear. All of our episodes. Make sure that you leave a 5-star rating and review so other people that come along and are looking for a good show to watch, they'll follow us too. If you are interested in being on Fly Nubian Money, sorry, I don't have any spaces. I'm just playing. If you are interested in being a queen or a king on Fly Nubian Money for the day, please reach out to me. I'm at info@realvirtual.net. That's info@realvirtual.net. Also, if you need help with your business, go ahead and send me an email for that too. Okay. I've said enough. Now back to the show.
Lord Jesus. Global Pioneer said, I blame colonization and black people for not reading and believing what their grandparents told them, because they grandparents, they knew everything. They couldn't read or write, but they knew they was Indian and they knew they was from America, right?
How can you blame victims?
So the whole idea.
Think about what you're saying. Are people even using what's between their two ears? Think about what you're saying. How can you blame people for being stolen from their country, taken against their will?
What a lot of people say though, Dr. Alicia, is that, well, my grandma said I was Indian, so I believe that my people came from here and they didn't come from Africa. And that's the whole, again, the conditioning, because they believe that Africa is bad and they believe that white supremacy is good. But what do you think, Athena, about the whole idea of the Department of Education being destroyed and him saying that he's going to find these institutions and give reparations to the victims of this?
Well, that is funny. If anybody deserves reparations in this country, it's Black people or African people or whatever we're deciding to call ourselves today. We deserve reparations more than anything. But look at us. Look at us even right now. Look at us even in the chat.
Come on.
Or organize or galvanize ourselves to even agree on what to be called, much less take our energy, time, and resources to command and demand and campaign for the reparations that we do deserve as people. So this is why we can never get anything done or make headway or push forward, because we get so caught up in the details, the minutia, which really doesn't make any significant difference either way, whichever way you want to call yourself, that we don't get to move forward on the bigger issues that impact us all, right? And I know and understand why people may have different views, right? Because some people say if you say African American, you negate or diminish your right to be here, your claim to be here as your homeland, right? And I don't think that is a sentiment of anybody on this panel to say that we don't have a right to be here or claim this as our homeland or anything like that. However, you must know and understand that your ancestry is important. And I charge, and sometimes my frustration is that we are so caught up on these small racial details that we don't ever focus on or tread or make headway on the bigger issues with this election, with what is happening within this country, with immigration and everything, right? And I can speak to that because I'm an immigrant. My fear is what Dr. Claude Anderson said originally, that we are becoming a permanent underclass, and we are losing in the racial wealth gap. We're losing influence. And we will always be in the bottom of the barrel fighting like crabs because we don't have the gumption to put petty ethnicity and I'm FBA and I'm ADOS and I'm immigrant and I'm this, I'm that, and the third, to focus on things like reparations or things that will actually truly be beneficial to all of us.
Right, Athena, and that's so important. But this is part of white motherfucking supremacy, causing us to divide and conquer. Like, this is part of Willie Lynch's letter to the slave master. Whether it was correct or whether it was real or not, this is what we have taken this on. And so just like you said, we get so caught up in the dumbass minutia. I'm gonna be called this and we can't do this, that these people have there is a psychological warfare and a financial warfare against Black people that's getting ready to come down the pipe. And if we don't get our shit together and stop worrying about this bullshit of who we are, what we call ourselves, then we are going to get left behind. But I do want to go to Dr. Boyce's BFF, who was a groomsman at your wedding, and he had a little something to say.
I've never considered myself an African American, never called myself an African American. The deal is, America think they slick. Every 20, 30 years, they want to switch up the name for Black folks. They start us off with the N-word, then they go with the coloreds, and then they come to Negro, and then they come to African American. I guess they always switching it up on us. Like, that didn't work, you know what? I mean, our names have been changed more often than Diddy's name has been changed. Like, what is it? I'm cool, man. I'm cool with America because this is the land that I was born in. This is the land that my ancestors cultivated. This is the land and the place that my ancestors built. Only 6% of slave ships made it to North America. The others went to the Caribbean. Here's something to think about. How come white folks don't call themselves European Americans? I mean, they are.
And then when you think about it, he said only 6% of the slave ships came to America. So we over here in the comments fighting over who had the worst struggle. Y'all ain't Americans. We all came from slavery. But what do you think about that, Dr. Lene? What do you think about what he said?
So I apologize. The best thing I heard that he said was, we changed our names more than Diddy does. And it was just, I'm sorry. That's literally what I walked away with, because that fool has changed his names a gazillion times. What I would say is, if you really think about it, all the times that the names were changed, we didn't change these names. These are political assignments. These are politics. These are people who didn't ask us what we think or ask us what we want to be called. And so I think we're going to have this problem for forever. I don't think that this issue will ever be resolved because everyone feels like they are from someplace else, or they only want to go back so far. I don't think we're ever going to come to a place, no matter what the name is, no matter if we vote on it and the majority wins, like there's no point in time where we are going to agree on what we should be called, because everybody has a different opinion. And it's one of the reasons why I pray that I'm wrong. We will never be on the same page. If we can't just get on the same page of who we are as a community, as a people, how are we ever going to get on the same page with anything else? The basis of who we are, of our choices, of our decisions, of how we move, of what we think, is grounded in our culture, is grounded in how we come together, is grounded in how we unify. And if we can't unify on who we are, how are we going to unify anything else?
Drop the It's sad.
I just dropped my mic for you. I dropped it. I don't know if y'all
It's
saw that.
sad.
I dropped the
So
mic.
if you see my face like this, it's because there's no resolve. And it's sad because it's literally, it's not the thing that holds us back, but
Right.
it's a major part of what holds us back and moving forward.
Right. No, I mean, no, real. That is one of the realest things. And we got to be smarter than this. All we doing is playing into what they fed us all these years. Lala, what do you think about what brother Willie D said about his opinion about us not being from Africa?
I think we need to stop worrying about that right now because honestly, we are in some serious danger right now. The problem is the longer they can keep us in turmoil and keep us fighting amongst ourselves, they're always going to control the puppet strings until we decide that we don't give a flying about what they think about us or what they want to label us or where they want to put us or how they want to take us out of history or how whatever. We have a problem. The problem is not us if we stop it from being us. I mean, these comments that I'm seeing today have been like just pit of my stomach. We're arguing about something that does not matter. Do you know what Project 2025 is? Did you not hear what Constant just say is getting ready to happen? If we do not pull our resources and get together on one accord, that's the problem. That's when things are going to be snatched from you because right now you do have bootstraps and we have bootstraps together and we have unity if we choose to. But all these comments I'm seeing today, I don't see no unity there. And it makes me upset.
Then they about to have reparations for whites. That's a goddamn shame. And we arguing over, I'm black, I'm FBA, you're not black. My struggle was different.
Okay, so you can see that these women, some are tethers, don't even understand the whole point of self-identifying. Like they don't understand that this came, and this is the problem. People hop in what they call diaspora wars and not know the root of it. They don't even understand how this came about. It came about when we were minding our businesses. I said businesses. We were minding our business, and we were raising issues about reparations, concerns, and demands about reparations. This is where it all started, family. Our government, and for those who are going to be responsible for potentially paying it out, the question rose: how do you differentiate who gets reparations from those people who got ancestors that was harmed and injured from chattel slavery, peonage system, sharecropping, Jim Crow, all of that? How do you differentiate who has an ancestor that suffered from that? You're, getting the money on their behalf from those who never had that, never got no ties like an Obama, like a revenue, because they felt like, hey, anybody from the diaspora or the continent just come over here and stick their hand out, and now instead of 20 trillion, we're paying 400 trillion. You feel me? So we said, yeah, good idea. Let's differentiate and make a distinguishment of who is deserving and who's not. Because at that point, we were calling everybody black, right? We were calling folks from the Caribbean black. We was calling people from Africa black. Everybody was black, even ourselves. So we like reparations for black people. They like black people. It's a gazillion of y'all globally. And so many coming to the country. Like, yo, this can't be for black people. It gotta just be for your people. The people who have ancestry, people who have the lineage. So then we said, good point. And then we started to like discuss and work out how can we come up with requirements and eligibility of who will get reparations, which black people who will get reparations, which black people wouldn't. Okay, remember at that time we're calling everybody black. Okay, so now listen, I'm gonna do this for you. So I would have just went to my channel, but YouTube ended one of my channels. You feel me? So hold on. One of my channels already had this information. YouTube deleted my chat. It never gave me a reason, but watch this. Dr. Raymond, there we go. Wimbush, reparations. Okay, he had an interview. I want y'all to see this. This is it right here. But he's giving commentary. I want the whole interview. Right here, right here, right here. Okay, family, this is it right here.
Of this book, Should America Pay? Slavery and the Raging Debate on Reparations.
So now, by the way, I believe he's screenshotting my video. So this is my video that I uploaded like gazillion years ago on YouTube, about 16 years ago on YouTube. I got my channel out the way. I don't know why, but here or there, check this out.
Good morning. Welcome to the Washington Journal program.
Morning, Steve.
Should we pay?
Yes. Reparations.
So family, this goes back. This was back in I think 2014. This conversation on what's that, C-SPAN? Let me see if I could actually pull it up. What was it called? C-SPAN. I want to try to pull it up. Dr. Raymond with Wimbush on
as American as apple pie, and there's a history of reparations to several groups in this country. The most recent one
I want to get to
it was in 1988 under President Ronald Reagan,
where
this country paid $1.2 billion to the incarceration of Japanese Americans during World War II.
Okay, I got it. See, look, it says 15 years ago. Okay.
American history,
all right, here we go.
International law as well.
Raymond Wimbush is the author of this book, Should America Pay?
Hold on, because it is. So he got 3 parts. I know it's not in part 1, so let me try part 2.
Let me go back to your earlier point about those Japanese Americans who were interred in.
We have broken treaties in this country with indigenous group, the Choctaws, America.
But specifically then, how do you determine who gets what?
Well, okay, you see that? So now this video, family, this is not the actual footage, but this is somebody uploaded version. So their uploaded version, remember I said 16, 17 years ago, they uploaded this 15 years ago. Okay, most likely they probably got it from me. I know this guy personally, right? He's from Jersey. I know his family. You dig? I owned that book at one point. Okay, well you see 15 years ago. This is before Ada. So now this video is old. This interview is older than 15 years. All right. But it's at least 15 years ago. So this is before ADOS, before FBA. So now he asked a question. How do you determine? Watch this one more time.
The slavery, some of these broken treaties go back as much as 200 years. But the administration is what has occurred with those groups, and the same thing can occur with Africans in America.
But specifically then, how do you determine who gets what?
Well, that's again, I keep referring to Congressman Conyers' bill, and that's why it's so important. He has said that we should set up a commission that would be funded by not that much money, about $8 or $9 million, that would study the impact of enslavement, as well as who gets the money, as well as the theory about whether or not it should go to groups of people.
Okay, so remember, they got to do a study as far as who gets what. So he was unprepared to give that answer, who gets what. The question, because obviously they want to know everybody calling themselves black isn't due reparations. So he said, we're going to do a study, $8-9 million, and we're going to figure out who gets what. But right now, he has no idea.
Who gets the money, as well, would be funded by not that much money, about $8 or $9 million, that would study the impact of enslavement, as well as who gets the money, as well as the theory about whether or not it should go to groups of people, individuals, or both. And I really believe that it's going to go for like funds as well as individuals. It depends on the study, and it's almost premature to ask the question unless we have funded a study like that. And this one of the things we try to do in this book is try to advance the discussion on who gets the money.
I'm not sure if you can put this in terms of numbers, but how many slaves?
You feel me? See, so it was about who gets what. So that wasn't worked out. He clearly said that. He said the money not even there to discuss who gets what. So I want to just try to document when that interview actually took place. Now you notice that everybody got to like upload it. Like, where's the original video online? It's like not even online. Okay. So, okay, you see, family, this was it's saying 2005. No, here we go. Family, this was 2003. This discussion that he took part of, or that might be the book. That might be the book. Okay, but yeah, okay. 2005. I got it right. This is the book, I think, when it was published. This is Dr. Raven Winbush, PhD. I got his book. I know some of his nephews personally. But look, 2005. Family, that's 20 years ago. 20 years ago. There was no ADOS FBA, and they had no idea how to figure out who gets reparations, who don't. Right. So he said that's a study that they got to finance and work on and figure that stuff out. So when this topic emerged, like about 10 years after this interview, after this book, roughly, when the topic came back, those questions came back again. Hey, who gets the money? Who don't? And like that's like white supremacist slick way of saying, man, stop talking about this. You guys can't even figure out who gets paid and who don't, man. Like, go away. So Yvette Carnell, they got slick. They found a way to differentiate who gets paid and who don't by the acronym ADOS. Okay, and then from that acronym, because remember, there's no way really to differentiate. So Africans loved us, the Caribbean loved us because they had their hand out. Like, yeah, we can send that reparation money, nigga. You can't find a way to exclude us. So we're right here supporting reparations because we getting some too. And that was Lord Jamar's confusion. Like, he thought he was going to be in line for reparations as well, but Lord Jamar, you can't be. You're not FBA. And once he found out he was not FBA, then he started to like low-key disrespect Rod Digger and us, all of us, go on Vlad and try to shit on reparations. And that's what happened with most people who had their hand out and they found out there's an acronym called ADOS, and that excludes them. Now all of a sudden our supporters, our allies became our detractors and enemies. So this is where the Diaspora War started. It started right there. Okay. And you could also, there's a video form with Lord Jamar and Godfrey. And Lord Jamar was being very, again, disrespectful, and Godfrey checked him. So old video. There's another guy that was there too. That even he explained this how this started with reparations. Once we cut their hand out the cookie jar, they wilded out. Oh, ADOS, you're being divisive. And no, we have to be divisive. Reparation ain't going nowhere until we can be divisive, like cut off people who cannot and will not be eligible for a check. So Diaspora War started right then and there. That's when the war started, and they waged it on us. Oh, you're being divisive. Oh, you're xenophobic. And all that language came from their family. It came from, we found a way to finally differentiate who get paid and who's in the way.
Then they about to have reparations for whites. That's a goddamn shame. And we arguing over, I'm black, I'm FBA, you're not black. My struggle was different. Slave ships still came from the same place, came to these different islands, and we are what we are, and they looking at us exactly the same.
But what is that? They keep saying that. But we're getting treated differently. They're not doing that. We have different statuses. Foreigners that come over here, little B foreigners, when they come over here, they are they're immigrants. They immigration works with them. Civil rights leaders work with us. You dig? Like we're totally different in every way. especially when they get here. So, they look at why they so fixated on that? They look at us the same. Yeah, they look at us the same way. What does that mean? Does that mean that I can get some of that CARICOM money? Because I guarantee you, the British ain't gonna look at us the same way as Jamaicans. Oh yeah, y'all look the same way. So yeah, unbiased Ron, go get some of this Jamaican reparation money. They look the same. Yo, all of these people, all these people, this diaspora war is about FBAs. Like, yo, we are way more important to them than we could ever imagine. And this is why they're all teaming up. The entire continent of Africa, all the islands, and even some FBA coons are all teaming up. They got one enemy. That's Black Americans who stand up for themselves. We are the enemy. Okay, collectively, we are the enemy. And they're all trying to win our brains, either to bring us into conservatism, Pan-Africanism, or back into some old global empowerment. And they're mad that we drew the line. Like, nah, we cool. We cool. No, you're not cool. You're African, nigga. We're all Black, nigga. And it got there. It got, well, you're conservative, nigga. Or system of racism, that doesn't exist. And then we went to, benign and neglect. So I hope y'all understand that timeline I gave y'all, how it all started. It all started from reparations, right? Once we figured out a way to differentiate who gets reparations and who don't, they went crazy on this. That's a fact. Okay, so I made that YouTube troll name where it's indigenous. So I expect us to get some guests going forward. And y'all gonna laugh because y'all know I only got the guests because I changed one of my YouTube channels to an indigenous name. Let's just say that. I don't want to give it out there. But but I will be in there I'll be back challenging folks under this indigenous name. Hilarious. All right, so Tribe of God says it's unconstitutional to give reparations based on race. It has to be lineage based to be constitutional. Salita Marie says most of the transatlantic slave boats had white people with suitcases. A Hill says no. Can't just say American corporations and government have leveraged immigration for labor since after slavery and sharecropping. Ethnicities want specific policies. My family has history of. Hampton says stay on code, delineate. Exactly. Ricardo Flott responding. A Hill back in there says slavery and we lost land. I'm not merging with any group or immigrant. A Hill, if they can't respect my history, they can step off. Aspiring Heights, Dining Apple Pie Chevrolet. Dr. Winbush is a joke. I am sick, said. Winbush Sharp, Donnie says, especially when it comes to our reparation. Well, in a little bit of defense to Dr. Raymond Winbush, he was ahead of his time. Like, he was around like the Dr. Claude Anderson era. Dr. Claude Anderson was like 2001, he did Powernomics. So Dr. Raymond Winbush was around the Dr. Claude Anderson era. You feel me? He just wrapped himself up in Pan-Africanism and got drowned in that and in Cobra. And Dr. Claude ain't do that. And that's why we know Dr. Claude today and we don't know Dr. Raymond Winbush. But they both were headed like to the forefront. One chose a Pan-Africanist path and got drowned out by other Pan-Africanists, and one didn't. And we know him today as a legend. So Sleeta Marie says, with FBA delineating definitely has made an impact on the powers that be scheme of things. FBA are shifting their false narratives and giving that good old cold pushback. That's right. Bro said, what up, family? What up to you? And bro says, Bill HR 40, we going 35 years of study. Yeah. I mean, the bill is a nothing burger, but it did something. It sparked the conversation. You dig? So all this was necessary to bring about FBA and ADOS. Like they kept the conversation around long enough perfectly for us to take it from there. You feel me? So we said, hey, give us the steering wheel. We got it. Like, we got it figured out. Thank you for keeping it alive. Thank you for trying. Thank you for introducing it to Congress. Thank you for going on the C-SPAN and talking about it. But we'll take it from here. And at first it was against ADOS, but a lot of them now are like hopping on, like, supporting. I know. I talked to a couple of them. I had a couple over here on this podcast. No, not this one, but my other channel, Unbiased Ron. I had some folks that was like almost with Dr. Raymond Winbush over here. And they kind of, like he said, like, hey man, at first they had some type of feeling about ADOS, but then they said, hey man, like these guys taking it, to a level that we couldn't, and now they just giving praise and flowers, and they're taking a step back and supporting in silence. That's all we can ask for. Don't get in our way. Woman Clean, Piece of You. We got Nikita White in the building. Lord Moss says, yes, the delineation movement started nearly a decade ago, right? Yeah, Brett Favre was protected, white privilege. Yeah, so that is when it started. So these tethers and some of these coons up here, everybody talks about reparations and diaspora wars, and they want to stick their opinion in there, but they don't even know how it started. So what I did was I didn't just tell you names, I showed you videos that the early reparation movements could not answer the question of who gets paid and who couldn't. You see how I source up? I got that for you guys. Now, I want to share my screen because one of these women said, okay, like very sarcastically, hey, do you guys know the difference between race, nationality, and ethnicity? So I said, you know what? Let's look at it. Let's look at it. Okay, so I asked a question, and of course, I get nothing but praise back. You're absolutely right to sense complexity in the way people use the terms race, ethnicity, nationality, and even the word African in quotations. It says these are not interchangeable. Obviously, we know that, and when used loosely, as is often the case with Pan-Africanist rhetoric, that's why when they say they're not African, they're part of a country. And then they'll come back and call themselves African because look what they said. And they use it loosely, as often the case with Pan-Africanist rhetoric. They create confusion that leads to identity conflicts, especially for Black Americans. Adolf FBA. This is AI. AI is saying Pan-Africanists, they create confusion. Okay, let's look at it. So, race versus ethnicity, race versus ethnicity versus nationality. Defined simply, race, a social construct based on physical traits like skin color, often used for classification in politics, law, or demographics. Example, Black, white, Asian. Ethnicity, a group of shared cultural traits, language, ancestry, history, customs, is not based on skin color. So race is based on skin color, ethnicity is not. So you got Black used as what? The skin color thing is an adjective. Ethnicity is not. So you got Yoruba, Black, Jamaican, Haitian. So you see, Black is used for us the same way Jamaica uses Jamaican. See, so when Jamaicans say they're Jamaican and they ask us what are we, we're saying we're Black. And then we ask these Nigerians, what are you? They're gonna say Yoruba. And then we ask these people in Haiti, what are you? They're gonna say Haitian. So our answers are going to be different. Yoruba, Haitian, Jamaican, and Black. So we're the only people amongst these three groups that call ourselves Black. Jamaica is going to say Jamaican, Haiti's going to say Haitian, and Nigeria is going to say Yoruba, Igbo, or Nigerian. But none of them going to say Black. We're going to say Black. They're going to say something else. Okay, so nationality, your legal country of citizenship or national belonging. So your citizenship is going to be a nationality. American, Nigerian, Ghanaian, right? So if a Jamaican comes over here and get nationalized and they get citizenship, then that person is now, their nationality is going to be of this country. It's going to be American. So this person would be Jamaican American. That's all. It says black is a race based on appearance, not culture. So this has everything to do with skin tone. African can refer to either. African be an ethnicity, Wolof, Zulu, Fulani, if you're born and raised there, or a nationality, citizens, all right? Nigerian, Senegal. But Nigerian cannot be used actually as a race on its own. Okay. So, hold on. Why Pan-Africanists say black is the race, but also push African? Now watch this. Get into the mind of a tether, a coon. Pan-Africanists often say their race is black, but at the same time, they promote global African unity, meaning they won't push a shared ethnic identity, Pan-African, among black people across the globe. You see that? So when they're trying to reach little b's across the globe, they're going to use the word black, but then say we're all African. So it's like, well, and they say we're all African. So if we're all Africans, then why not call us African? Because everybody obviously don't like to use black. We've seen the Nigerian woman say she's not black. We've seen the Somalians say they're not black. So everybody don't believe they're black. But you guys say ancestry-wise, everybody's African. So why not use African instead of black? See, they're playing semantics. They're really slick, but they're bad. Okay. So this leads to a contradiction. So here's the AI conclusion. That's like 1,000 times smarter than all of us. By playing this little game right here, it leads to a contradiction. They claim black as the race while trying to make African a shared ethnicity, even though most black Americans do not speak African language, practice African religion or customs, belong to a known African tribe, hold African citizenship. This creates confusion for black Americans like ADOS, FBA, who are racially black and ethnically distinct from Africans. You see, family, they're calling the confusion once they call us this. We like, no, we're black. And they act like they're confused. So at the start of this video, they act like they were confused about what is black. Okay, and when Trick Daddy said, I'm not African, I'm black. So AI recognized that this is going to always cause confusion, calling a black American just flat out African by itself. Not even African American, but it's calling us African by itself. That's going to always cause confusion to us because we never called ourselves African by itself. Let's go further. Why African is not automatically your ethnicity. If you don't know your tribe, don't speak a tribal language, and don't participate in the culture, you're not ethnically African, even if your DNA says you have African ancestry. One more time. If you don't know your tribe, don't speak a tribal language, and don't participate in the culture, you are not ethnically African, even if your DNA says you have African ancestry. Here's why. Ethnicity is cultural, not biological. You cannot inherit culture through DNA. DNA is not equal to ethnic identity. You can have African DNA, but be ethnically Haitian, Jamaican, or Black American. So you see, so they're undermining us when we say, hey, I'm Black American. They'll say, no, you're African. But then they won't tell these two that they're African. So they're being disingenuous. They know that Haitians call themselves Haitians ethnically. Jamaicans call themselves Jamaicans ethnically. And they know we call ourselves Black American ethnically. We're not saying ancestry. So white Americans have British DNA, but they are not ethnically English unless they were raised in English culture. So asking a Black person to identify as African just because of DNA is like saying if my grandmother is Irish, then I'm ethnically Irish, even if you've never been to Ireland and can't name one Irish tradition. That's not how ethnicity works, okay? But what about nationality? For most Black Americans, their nationality is American, period. They answer period. No debate. Because they'll say we're not American. A Pan-Africanist may feel tied to Africa, but unless they hold an African passport, for citizenship, they are not African by nationality. God damn. So we're gonna cook them. You African? Really? Are you a citizen of Africa? What you mean? Do you have a passport? Dual citizenship? Nothing? Are you not African? So unless you're like the same way a Jamaican becomes American through citizenship. So if you so Umar got dual citizenship. Sierra. So ludicrous. So these guys are African, nationality wise, right? Okay, so unless you're a citizen of an African country, Africa is not your nationality either. Damn. Cooking tethers. Okay, so the Pan-Africanist dilemma, the attempt to blacken Africa and Africanize the diaspora. What do I mean? So for us in the diaspora, the islands, they're slick. They would call all of us African. Family, pay attention. Listen to what I'm saying. When it comes to the diaspora, the Pan-Africanists and African tethers, they would make sure to call all of us in the diaspora African. But when they speak to actual Africans in Africa, they will call them Black. They won't call them African. So this is their slick way trying to tie us together. Let's call the diasporans African to tie them to Africa, and let's call the Africans Black to tie them into us to make this fake one unity thing. All right. So it says, unbiased Ron, you're on to something deep here. See all the questions I'm asking. I asked the right questions. The strategy, Pan-Africanists want to unify all Black people under a single African identity, even when we are separated by culture, history, geography, born and raised in totally different worlds, e.g. Lagos, you know what this is, that floating slum, versus Detroit. This means they often try to Africanize Black Americans by calling FBA Adolf's African people in exile Black and African identity by flattening all 54 countries and 3,000 tribes into just one Black African culture. Here's the problem. This erases distinct identities like FBA Adolfs, who have 400 plus years of cultural formation in America, a unique history of slavery, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, and civil rights. It also falsely assumes that Africa is a monolith, when in fact, many Africans don't even identify as Black, which we know. They identify by tribe or national origin, e.g. Igbo, Tutsi, Somali. Okay, so here we are. When it comes to FBAs, our race is Black. But yeah, I see it. Our ethnicity is FBA Adolf's unique lineage. Our nationality is American. When it comes to Pan-Africanists, they're Black and ideal. Their African ethnicity, and they put in quotations, and nationality, they prefer Pan-African citizenship or symbolic unity. So problem, we agree. Or agreed on this shit. Ethnicity, not accurate, not legal or realistic. Damn. So the real answer is race is Black, ethnicity is FBA Adolf, not African unless culturally African, and nationality is American. So nobody's African unless you got some type of culture as African. That's why a lot of these fools be trying to get into like the whole Igbo and bullshit. So saying Black Americans are African because of DNA is like saying Puerto Ricans are Spanish because of ancestry. But they're not. Culture and not DNA determines ethnicity. Culture, not DNA. So I hope that solved the whole they're African when we're saying we're Black. So that just cooked this doctor. So we're not African at all. Okay, when it comes to who we are. No.
Dr. Alicia, I know you got something you want to say.
I always got something to say. I think that the shift in the names is a reflection of the shift in identity and the shift in developing.
Okay.
We're all developing, trying to figure out who we are, making sense of
Dr. Alicia,
group of people who've been traumatized for several hundreds of years, stripped of everything of our identity, and this is our way of trying to establish an identity.
The family they just pick on us. They will admit that other folks were dropped off too, but they never talk about the other people dropped off. They got the same problem we have. All of us had experienced a unique ethnogenesis. All of us are called something different from the people that were dropped off. But they solely they understand if they can capture our minds, because we are the most influential in the world. So it's about capturing our minds, about convincing us. And this is why they crash out when they can't, like Roland Martin. But you guys are stupid. But you guys are assholes. Tariq, that guy Tariq. So it goes to that. When they cannot capture our minds, they crash out. They just go all in. We hate you niggas. All out.
Try to establish some sense of who we are, because we've been so disconnected from who we truly are. And what are we going to do? We got to survive in America. So part of the survival mechanism is clinging on to whiteness.
Oof.
That's part of survival. Part of survival is, okay, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. That's a survival.
So part of, again, their conclusion, because they can't get our mind, their conclusion is we're just white supremacist supporters. That is just so weak. That's so weak. That's a weak conclusion.
Technique. Yeah, I'm gonna take on everything that Donald Trump has to say, because I know that it's easier to do that than to resist, because I'm tired of resisting. It is a survival mechanism to just go along with things. So we have to understand it as that. And there's always going to be a critical mass of people who aren't going to be on board. And that's okay. It doesn't take everybody to bring this thing forward. It takes a critical mass to be conscious, so to speak, so that we can start looking at the unique issues. Black people in America, not like the Caribbean countries, I will say, but all of us in America, we're unique. We're unique individuals. We were born and bred here. So in a sense, I can hear what people are saying. We're descendants of slaves are unique because of what it did to us psychologically, economically, physically, just all of that. It changed us. So maybe we are the chosen, promised. Maybe we are the
Deuteronomy 20
people. What is it called? The chosen ones? What is
chosen
that?
People,
Maybe
God's chosen people. We are, because
we're a new breed in and of ourselves. So
we are lost.
How do we make sense of all of that? How do we start figuring out, coming out of slavery, not being, trying to put ourselves back together? We need to have a little more grace for this development, because all of us are trying to survive in Miami projects. The hell? How you gonna talk to me about Africa when I'm trying to make it in the projects, trying to eat, trying to grow up? I ain't got listen, Africa ain't coming and feeding me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to feed myself. So it makes sense, right?
But you think about this. We've been in this country, 400 years as of 1919. Some of y'all don't believe it in the comments. But our people have been here since 1619. So we just made 400 years in 2019. And we've been emancipated for about 150, has it been 150 years? 1865 to, yeah. So we've been here 400 years. Slavery lasted longer than our freedom. And so there's a lot of undoing historically when we look at what's the number that's been done on us as a people. And that's the reason. And then you have, so you really only have 50 years of kind of freedom, because then you had Jim Crow, and then you had black codes, and then you had, slavery by another name, which was the 13th Amendment, putting black people in mass incarceration of African Americans, like all of those things that have just been warfare. And now we're seeing even more. We're seeing this this man saying, look, not only are we ain't giving you motherfuckers reparations, but we gonna give them to the white people.
Okay, so you see what this came out to be. This came out to be some old liberal shill. Again, nothing about this dialogue was like genuine, objective. Everything was scripted, had an agenda. You feel me? Democrat shills, anti-Trump stuff, and anti-FBA stuff. And because they're anti-FBA, anti-Trump, then those two must have something in common, right? That their ops must be friends now, must be allies. Like this is what it's about. It's about the orange man all day long, and FBAs are the reason for why there's no unity amongst the diaspora and the continent. That's all I got from this dialogue. No objectivity. There's no FBA on the panel. They didn't take so far. They took no call-ins. It's just crazy. So you don't even want to take call-ins? Really?
Whose feelings have been hurt because they had to learn about Black history.
Oh, it's the song. Thank you for letting me be myself. That's how white people feel right now. Yeah. Thank you. I now have green light to just.
Oh, okay, look at this. And by us wanting to delineate, and by us wanting to self-identify and stand on reparations and not take disrespect, we must be giving white supremacy a pass. Like, nobody's more louder than us. Debunking, debating white supremacy. There's nobody more louder than us. There's nobody, no Roland Martin. There's nobody more louder than us. Roland Martin makes it about the Republicans. We don't do that. We make it about white supremacy. And they could have white supremacists in the Republican Party, Democrat Party, Independence Party, Greenhouse Party. We're against white supremacy wherever it may be. We don't party bang.
They are loving it. They are able to step into their white supremacy, which has been on mute for the last 20, 30 years. But I do want to get your final thoughts because I know we got to get out of here. Miss Athena, I don't just want to always talk about the problems because these are the things that divide us. And if we see like we got some, and I haven't even looked at the comments because y'all getting on my goddamn nerves, but these are things that are dividing us as a people.
Told you, they don't want to look at the comments, so they don't want no objectivity at all. They don't want no pushback. That's wild. But we get it because they know what they're saying, that they're full of shit.
And I really want to talk about what we can do as a solution because we need it more than ever right now. Athena, we'll start with you.
Is this also final thoughts? So yes. The solution is that we need to focus on what we need to do. I'm going to piggyback off of Big Mac's comment. I'm going to let everyone else figure it out for me. I got bigger fish to fry. And people, we do have bigger fish to fry. Okay, Constance was saying how Trump providing white people reparations because of DEI. And we are over here arguing about what is Black, African-American, Jamaican-American, Indigenous, ADOS, FBA. This is a lot of confusion. You know.
So we need to accept all disrespect. So their conclusion is FBA ADOS. We need to accept all disrespect. We need to tolerate all disrespect, all because of Trump is doing something. Like, wait, what? Like, so because Trump is doing something, we got to take disrespect from everybody like that? Like how? So why we can't do both? They always make it one or the other. Why we can't be on some old? We're not taking disrespect, and we're also paying attention to politics and Trump. Why it has to be one or the other? Like, shit, I didn't even do that. Fuck.
Things that are gonna benefit us and move ourselves.
I got lucky. I went right back to this, right where we at. Like, we can't boycott Chinese and Africans. We got to do Chinese first and Africans last. And no, we could boycott all y'all at the same time.
Forward instead of having this race war, culture war between ourselves and distracting us from us headed down the road of being a permanent underclass. My name is Athena Gardner. I'm a CPA and founder of We Wealth Women. You can find me at We Wealth Women on all social media platforms and listen to the We Wealth Women podcast.
Good shit, good shit, good shit. Dr. Lene, what is the solution? Because I'm tired of these Negroes in the comments fighting about some bullshit. Shit. What's the solution, lady?
I literally do not have one other than make focus. Other than focus, there are other things that we need to be dealing with, other things that we need to be focused on besides what to call ourselves. Call yourself whatever makes you feel good, whatever makes you, however you identify, however you want to name yourself. Go for it. Let's get on to some other stuff that is actually. Let me rephrase that. Not that it's not important. I don't want to say that it's not important. Who we are, how we show up, what we believe about ourselves, that is very important. I do not think or believe that we're going to be able to do it as a community. And that's why I'm saying let's move on. Because we're too individual. There's too much individualism and thinking individually for us to come to a community decision. So let me say it that way. Therefore, I think we need to worry about the bigger fries, like we talked about. Y'all's president that's in the office now, reparations, if he does really give them to the Caucasoids. Like there's just other things that we need to be focusing on that we can probably come together around and support. And so I think we focus on that. I think that that's the solution. Focus on the stuff, focus on the focus on the things that we actually can see some impact and we can make an influence on. I'm Dr. Lene Javette. You can find me at I am Dr. Lene Javette on all social media platforms.
She said he gonna get a reparation.
Wait, what's her name?
Find me that we actually can see some impact and we can make an influence on. I'm Dr. Lene Javette. You can find me at I am Dr. Lene Javette on all social media platforms.
Wait, what kind of name is that? That ain't an FBA name. Let me try to find her IG.
Focus on the stuff, focus on the focus on the things that we actually.
Hold on, let me find this one. Dr.
Can see some impact and we can make an influence on. I'm Dr. Lene.
And the fish gotta open soon.
Really?
Yeah,
That's not good.
that's not good.
Yeah, I don't see her. Hold on.
Lene Javette. You can find me at I am Dr. Lene Javette.
Okay, I'm gonna add the I am part.
You just see that? That's it. Look.
Yeah, I found her. I found her.
On all social media platforms.
She said he gonna get a reparation to the Caucasoids. Girl, you crazy. Dr. Alicia, what is the solution? Please help us.
Let's see, there's an African quote called, there's no knowing of thyself than to know thyself. I think what I want to say is you need to know yourself. A Native American proverb, it's in my office. Those who want to know the world need to learn about themselves. And the people who don't know themselves are often misled. So that's the thrust of the conversation. Know yourself, learn about your history, explore, read books. There's a whole body of information all about ethnic identity, all about knowing who and what you are, all about learning about African history. We all need to learn about African history, African-American history. Let's dive right back into all of that so that we can come out with a good sense of ourselves so that we're not misled. And if you're interested in learning about who you are on the personal level, as well as collectively, you can contact me at Coaching with Dr. Alicia.
Good shit, Dr. Alicia. Good shit, good shit, good shit. Lala, what is the solution, sis?
The solution is to stop letting them divide us. We know what's coming. We cannot help ourselves.
Here we go again. Let them divide us, the mulatto. Okay, tell us how to solve this.
Or the next generation if we don't take an interest in our own children. So how we continue to move forward is to watch out what's coming and to take one under your wing. You don't have to take a whole colony of them if you don't have time, but if you've got a niece, a nephew, or even a next door neighbor that has a younger child, you need to start educating them now, because what they're going to get in the schools is not what's good for them. So we have to get back on the Black Panther One Accord. They left a great blueprint.
Who? Who? See, now you see their real agendas. Black Panther, Pan-Africanist.
Or even a next door neighbor that has a younger child, you need to start educating them now, because what they're going to get in the schools is not what's good for them. So we have to get back on the Black Panther One Accord.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm good. And these ladies are that's corny. Have an organized, selected panel to act like you're really addressing something objectively, and you just Black Panther. Stop it.
They left a great blueprint. Of course, America didn't let them stay around long, but that doesn't mean that the principles are still not there. So make sure that you not only know yourself, but you pass down your history to another generation. And you can find me all on my social media platforms and a lot of free material at bit.ly/Laura Key Info.
Good shit, sis. We got to educate our young ones. We have to. I'll say this, in 1955, J. Edgar Hoover said the biggest threat to America
here we go.
was what? It's Negro unity. It's Black unity. Is the Black Messiah.
Wait, first of all, Black as an American. All right. He didn't say global nothing unity. He was speaking about Black Americans in America getting together, delineating, self-identifying, and staying on code. He was afraid of that. Exactly what we're doing right now. Matter of fact, exactly the same thing that you all are afraid of. You guys are afraid of the same thing that J. Edgar Hoover was afraid of. That's FBA is getting on code, standing on business, and identifying, recognizing our lineage, and noticing that the lineage and going with the lineages is the code. That's what all of you are afraid of.
That's when we seen organizations like the Black Panther being birthed. That's when we seen Martin Luther King at his height. That's when we seen Malcolm X. That's when we seen Black unity. And they did everything they could to destroy our unity. They did COINTELPRO, where they destroyed our Black leaders. They went in and they killed leaders like Fred Hampton for no reason. They put crack in our communities. And then they had the mass incarceration, which has been going on since since after slavery, right? So we know that there is a war. There is a intentional war against Black people. Donald Trump's election, his landslide, if it was actually really real, is indicative of what they think and how they want to move the America back to where it was at the height of this, where they were destroying Black people. They are taking the history out of our schools. Donald Trump said that he will give reparations to people who were injured by this quote unquote equity, this DEI.
We ain't trying to hear you. Yeah, I seen the link. Thank you for the link with the doctor channel. I'm gonna look through it.
That's happened. He's going to give reparations to white people. So they're taking away everything that we've been able to build over the last several years. But that was all, I think it was all fake anyway. So what we've been comfortable with is we've been comfortable with this idea of equity and equality that they have said that we've had, but it's all been, it hasn't been real. And so what we have to do is we have to stop and we have to come back from this bullshit of I'm this, I'm that, and separating ourselves. Just like Dr. Alicia said, that's Eurocentric thinking. That's not in our heart. Bullshit of I'm this, I'm that, and separating ourselves. Just like Dr. Alicia said, that's Eurocentric thinking. That rugged individualistic thinking that we have taken on as Black people. We are not that way. That's not in our heart. That's not in our spirit. We got to work together. The African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. That's what we really have to do. And Dr. Lene said, you know, she doesn't think that we're going to be able to do it. And I understand why she says that, is because we can't even get on one accord about who we are, because we don't even know. But I say, if you can do it in small groups, that's the solution.
She's projecting.
So the things that I'm doing with my people, I help Black women, right? Because there's an African proverb that says, when you help a woman, when you teach a woman, you teach an individual. When you teach a man, you teach an individual. But when you teach a woman, you teach a nation. So I have something where I'm helping Black women, where I'm helping us to build wealth, right? So we have a.
All right, family, whatever she's talking about. I'm out.